bitty, let's get some dragon titties. Hello, everybody. My name is Drew Philip Elias. I am the co-host of Between Nerds podcast. I am here with my other co-host, Mr. Aldo Mendez. What's up, buddy?
Hi, guys. Hi. And today, special guest, Miss Karen Ditz.
Hi, guys.
So, we are here on this Monday, the day after the Super Bowl.
Valentine's
Day. We took Aldo Mendez away from the mother of his child on Valentine's Day.
Yes, sir.
To record episode 82 of Between Nerds podcast.
Yeah, and it's been a while since we watched season 1 of Miss Kobayashi.
Yeah, so spoilers, no spoilers. We are going to be discussing Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid S, also known as Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid season 2 today. But first, we want to go over some February housekeeping notes. Please visit TCG Battleground on Zaragoza Road over here on the east side in the Zaraplex.
Zaraplex, yes.
And please use hashtag Nerds for Black Leadership in an original tweet, Instagram post, or YouTube comment to be entered into our February giveaway. For every like and retweet, we will be donating to the El Paso Young Black Leaders. And I think that's a really good cause, especially for the month of February.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And what else am I missing, Aldo? Is that it?
I guess so. I mean, we are going to put our audio file again on YouTube. And, by the way, we do own everything said on this podcast. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for whatever reason, like some German IT company gave us a copyright strike for like our last piece of audio content. And I don't understand how that's possible. Like we own all visuals. Even, like, the music that's used in the beginning and the Nerd Down, like, we have rights to. And I don't get if they're copyrighting, like, the sound of my voice, or... You could have it, like, if you pay me for it, exactly.
Hey, you're gonna pay.
You can take it. I don't give a shit.
Also, a quick shout-out to this little plant-based treats truck. They sell acai bowls, like, some smoothies. Their local business starting up. They're called Planted Earth.
Okay.
Yeah, they're pretty good, bro. So follow them on Instagram. Just give them a quick shout out to.
Is that how you pronounce it? Acai bowls?
Acai bowl.
I didn't know. Acai. I didn't know that.
What would you call them before?
I don't know. It had some C's. Acai. Acai bowls.
I don't know what it's called, but yeah, we.
Acai. Pretty sure it's acai. Right? Yeah.
It sounds like Zaid. Anyways.
Yeah, acai bowl. That's what we were saying.
So, we are discussing the 2021 season for Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid, produced by, I think it's Cloverworks. Mm-hmm. It's based off of the 2014 light novel series originally written by Kuku Yoshinja, and was it's fairly popular. It's only had 11 volumes of the Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid series, but it has 4 spin-off series, and it's a cultural mainstay. It has iconic characters. Is how I would put Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid.
And it was almost at the brink of that being made because unfortunately it was the last work of Yasuhiro Takemoto, who unfortunately lost his life on the arson attack. But season 2 announced in like February of 2019, and the release was delayed for like 2 years.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah,
that's really disappointing.
Mm-hmm.
I've read the manga.
You've read one volume of the light series, but like to Aldo's point, the director of season 1 died in the arson attack.
So is there gonna be a season 3?
No, yeah, season 2 had to have a different director, yeah.
Yeah, so and he was also one of the directors in one of the episodes for what we saw last week, which was Evergarden.
Mm-hmm. Violet Evergarden.
Yeah, so shout out to Kyoko. I'm sure they're doing good work out there, getting some working some Japanese men to death.
I'm confused. I think it is actually Kyoto Animation, if I'm reading this correctly. I think I got confused because what we're watching next week, Horimiya, is a Cloverworks production. So yes, Kyoto Animation, original director died in an arson attack, and Kyoto Animation is, as of a year and a half ago, producing new works, finally. Mm-hmm. Right? So they lost a good amount of people, and like their entire building, like
38 people.
38 people, crazy. And took them like 2-3 years to like rebuild after said arson attack. It was a disgruntled employee.
It was, oh, really?
Yeah. And
Wow.
like, that's what's crazy about, like, the anime industry, because we know these people are worked, like, to death. Like, even in anime about working age people, it's like, wow, why the fuck do I always have to work so hard? This shit's terrible.
Well, isn't that like a stereotype about like,
Japanese people? In, like, general, yeah. Mm-hmm. So, I think that's, it's really disappointing, and that like,
like one of their own did it, or
yeah, but that like something that we know is a problem in both the manga and anime industries, and something about like worker culture in Japan in general that like had real ramifications. Like it's one thing for somebody to get burnout and like be abused by a company, but it's a whole nother thing to like take like almost 40 of your coworkers with you.
Yeah, but then again, like, imagine having something like the author from, what's that show you like? The Throne, Game of Thrones?
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, like, he waits, like, year and year to put out work. Over there in Japan, it's almost like, I need to get the best work out now.
Mm-hmm. Well, the thing about George R.R. Martin is it feels more like he doesn't want to finish right now. Because he's been making so much more money since the shows have been coming out. And, like, just him talking on the record once a year about this book that's never going to come out.
When he worked
keeps making him more money, and he keeps getting co-writing credits for like the shows and stuff like that.
Unionize.
So I think that's funny. A funny part of Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid is there's an entire episode, like in like the latter half, I think like 10-9, that's literally just about like workers' rights in the office. Mm-hmm. But it's just Kobayashi, the protagonist, just being like, dude, this is never going to happen. Like, we just accept that like we're abused by your employer.
And life is still pretty good. Fuck that, unionize.
I like Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid a lot. Like, I remember when we originally watched it, I liked it then. I showed it to Karen. Karen just, like...
loved it.
It's like the first anime I saw you just, like, obsess over immediately.
And you've told me before about Karen that she's like, oh, she never likes the fan service, but then she likes Dragon Maid.
Yeah, which doesn't make any sense.
I love the ditties here.
Honestly, in like a weird way, Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid is kind of fan service for women, even though it's like just tits and stuff.
Well, I was talking to you off mic. It just seems like a celebration of women here.
Yeah.
Like Hinamatsuri, and it's so fun. It's like K-On! It's like, you know, like an all girl group just having fun. It's what the story.
What something I do think is really, really strange about Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid, and is like reiterated on so much more in season 2, is that they sexualize like an 8-year-old boy character, but like the idea of like two women hooking up is like never. It never even like crosses the mind of like the writing here, because it tries to be so progressive, like all those talking about. Like if you're talking about passing the Bechdel test, this passes like the opposite. There's like whole 4 long episode stretches where you never see a male character on screen.
Absolutely.
And it's fine, you know what I mean? You don't even notice it at the time. So it's like it would definitely pass the Bechdel test, which is like a progressive test to describe a work that can write female characters well.
There's only like 2 reoccurring male characters anyway.
Yeah, and they're both like they're like they're both nerds, the most like unassuming like male characters. Like they're in no way like hyper masculine or annoying or like. But that's not the point I'm trying to make. Hold on. Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid is literally about like a lesbian couple living together and starting a family together. That's literally what the story's about, right? See, that's what I mean. Like it's so like, hey, you live together, you eat together, you spend your weekend and your days off together.
For sake of anime, it's like they're nothing, bro.
Yeah, they're not together. They're not hooking up. One's just madly in love with the other, and they live together. One pays all the bills in the house and is like the man of the house and gets back rubs and gets. Like, somebody mated on her, but the idea of them hooking up as women is, like...
Not off the table.
Even as a heterosexual couple at one point.
But see, that's what I mean. You only think they could hook up when one of the female characters turns into a guy in the first episode. So, like, Miss Kobayashi... Well, the second episode. So, Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid Season 2 starts off with just the introduction of a new character, right? So, like... Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid Season 1, like, the first, like, 6-7 episodes are just one episode. You get a new character every episode, right? Mm-hmm. Since we already have our main cast here, we get one episode like this. Her name's Alulu. And the thing about Alulu is that she gets, like, half an episode to be an antagonist. And then immediately after that, she's just like everyone's
Cute
best
dragon.
friend. Yeah, just cute dragon friend. Like just like every other story here. So Lulu is part of the Chaos faction of dragons, where Toru's from, right? Toru's dad is the like King of Demise or the Emperor of Demise, whatever the fuck his title is, who leads the Chaos faction of dragons. And we have other dragon characters from season 1, like Elma, who's part of the Peace faction. We have Lukua, who's like it's like the watching faction, the passive faction. It's
I can't really remember the factions, but it's just breaking down into like different armies of dragons.
right, but like their titles mean like what they want, kind of. Like Lukua clearly did not participate in the war between the Peace faction and the Chaos faction.
Yeah.
She was just a bystander.
I don't even really know where she is. Like a dragon, yeah, but I don't know. What does she do? What is she supposed to do? She just gets attached. Yeah, she's a god, but she just gets attached to the kid. And
I really like her. Quetzalcoatl. She is named after a like Aztec god of death and life.
Okay.
So yeah, crazy stuff.
Worshipped by the Aztecs. I don't know.
And if you notice, like in one of the episodes when they try to give her a maid outfit, what's her name? What do they name her on the anime? What's the short name for Quetzalcoatl?
Is it Lulu? Lukua.
Lukua dresses Miss Kobayashi as an Aztec servant.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. That makes a lot of sense. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
But our new dragon here, Miss Ululu, is part of the Chaos faction. So she sees Toru being domesticated, right? Like being Miss Kobayashi's maid. And Ululu like finds Kobayashi and Toru on the street, like in the middle of Tokyo, and just kind of pressures Toru to have this giant magical fight with her. Mm-hmm. And the thing about Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid is that like it gets away with having like really dumbed down animations most of the time, because it's like kid drawings almost. It's like funny to like dumb down the animation in a lot of the comedy scenes here, right? But like every other episode, you get a dragon fight and they pull out all the stops animation wise, and like they remind you this really early in this season because of episode 1.
And it's as crazy as something you'll see like in Dragon Ball or some shit like that,
or Demon Slayer. Well, maybe not as crazy as like really recent Demon Slayer, but like some of these fights are like really well choreographed, animation stupendous. Like they're dragons, right? So energy blasts and fire look really well
super
animated.
Strength.
Yeah, super
They
strength.
introduced that in this season even before like any fights, though, because in the beginning, like the very very beginning of season 1 or episode 1, it's when Toru gets a job as like a maid at a cafe, and she's cooking in the back, and there's like all this fire going everywhere, and she's flipping everything like 10 times.
You're right.
Chopping shit up, and then she's all mad because she's a chef and not a maid.
No, you're right. So
But the visuals were about
the
same kind of concept that you're talking
Even
about.
the curse she puts like on the fucking.
The curse was hilarious
omelet.
because they introduced it as like, oh, they make a cute like, oh, each meal comes with a different spell.
because it's a themed maid cafe.
Yes.
Yeah.
But then here comes Toru coming out, and she does like this whole just actual dragon spell on. It was like a love spell, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a love spell, but like the spell itself, like the words, it's like super macabre.
Sounds evil almost. And
Because
then
it's
the tone gets super dark for those few seconds.
And no, you're right. You're absolutely. So then when does so it's at the end of it's at the end of the first episode where Lulu gets introduced.
I believe so. Yes.
Oh, okay. So episode 1 is already off to a great start, at least animation wise. Like we're getting more of what's her name, the little one?
Kana.
Kana.
We
Okay.
love Kana.
Yeah. So Kana's like the little like 4 foot tall dragon with the white hair that's like all
White
over
and
the internet.
purple. Yeah,
Adorable.
super cute.
When she goes to school and she wears her little hat, dude, it's crazy.
I had never seen the dub until this week, because when me and Karen were watching the simulcast and it came out weekly, it was only the sub, right? So, but like hearing Kana's voice in the dub, I think it's kind of crazy how better like American dubs have gotten, because like I can't imagine you like the way dubbing was done in like 2001 or something, being like, hey, there's this like super adorable like girl with the voice of like a 5-year-old, but like she speaks like fluent English so that you can understand her, but she has a really like heavy lisp. Like, how do you coach somebody to do that with the kinds of like corny voice actors we had in the early 2000s? So even talking like technical aspects like that, like Kyoto Animation, at least for the dubbing, I don't know who localized it, but they're starting to spend money on production here, and you can see that a lot.
Yeah, because Kana sounds adorable too.
She does.
Yeah, she's all monotone. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
like it.
Especially with her friend.
Yeah. Oh, fucking
Wait,
Psycho.
Psycho?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Crazy stuff here, guys.
She's like, oh my god, I love you.
It is a
Yay.
crazy, like, again, I'm going to go to Hinamatsuri, because Hinamatsuri almost works in the same way. We have, like, Toru and, like, the girl from Hinamatsuri, the main girl from Hinamatsuri, and she meets a person who ends up being their friend, and they just beat up each other.
Do you
like, the whole
think
thing.
you like Hinamatsuri more than Kobayashi?
No, I believe I hold them dear. Both of them. I like those. I like those two.
I have noticed, like, over episodes, I feel like I hear you use Hinamatsuri as more of a reference point a lot of the time. Like, Hinamatsuri is a good benchmark to talk about other things, kind of.
Mm-hmm. And also, I mean, compared to Kobayashi, you could also watch this and get the same thing, because you have badass action between that. You have this cute sense of, like, Dragon Maid, and it's like just a good anime, a good story. It's not trying to do too much, but then it does a lot at the same time.
Exactly. So, Miss Elma, Water Priestess Elma dragon thing, she is best frenemies with Toru, basically, right? And she's watching...
They're the toxic couple.
Well, Kobayashi's kind of toxic too, I don't know. They're watching... it's Elma and Kobayashi on the ground watching New Dragon Olulu. She's in, like, all the promo materials for the second season. She's just, like... she's supposed to be, like, be able to be played off as, like, a teenager. So she has, like, the human model of, like, a 17, 18-year-old, but just, like, with, like... triple K tits, like, attached to her chest, like,
yeah.
So the joke is that, like, because she's part of the Chaos faction and she's, like, super powerful, she has so much power that she can't fully convert into a human, so that, like, her
without something being, like,
super
blown out, yeah,
because she's got ginormous fire sacks, air quotes fire sacks that make her
glands or some shit like that
make her like extra powerful, but, like, she's so strong that it just gives her, like, giant tits in human form.
It's just stored all in her boobies.
And like, Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid, like, has fan service, like, a lot of tit fan service, but it uses it as a punchline a lot of the time.
And then as a nerd, like, you start like, oh shit, so this is a power what do you call it? Like, a power system now in this thing? Like, okay,
tits
so...
are a power system.
Tits are the power system?
Even in their first battle, I thought it was hilarious because they're in the air fighting, like, well, where you were getting. And she, like, explodes volcanic destruction through her titties. Like, that was because her way to defeat Toru, because I guess Toru's still slightly stronger than her, was just like, oh, well, I'm going to fight her and destroy the city at the same time, so she's preoccupied doing both.
And when she uses her claws, she just, like, does an X, like, right over Toru's tits. Like, I'm going to tear your maid uniform just right over your tits. But, like...
And it stays like that.
It just stays... She just fights the rest of the fight like that. But what I was saying about, like, them using fan service is, like, a punchline. So in Lulu, like, her first, like, scene introduction, the camera just, like, pans up. She's just, like, floating in the air. And you just see the tits just jiggle. So you're just supposed to, like, just giggle to yourself. Like, oh, look, tits. So, they have, like, a pretty fierce battle. So, and, like,
really
Kobayashi actively has to, like, bribe Elma to put a barrier around the city, because Elma's like, no, I'm part of the passive faction, or whatever it's called. I have to let this Chaos faction fight play out. And Kobayashi has to be like, all your favorite foods are going to get blown up.
It's just sweets.
Just sweets.
Candy. She's just bribing her with, like, sweets, which is what Elma's obsessed with.
So, yeah, she's like, if the city burns down, then you're not gonna get any of your sweets. You gotta participate in this fight.
And then again, if you're gonna be talking about, like, the weird tits, like Elma's tits, like, in her fucking work uniform, she's wearing, like, a blazer, like, halfway through her chest, because her titties are like stretching
They
out
don't fit.
her jacket.
Well, that's what I was talking about in our season 1 discussion. Is that like
Crazy stuff.
Elma's character design is hilarious because it's like a normal person would just like buy a bigger shirt, buy a bigger jacket, and just put it like over your tits, right? But like Elma will purposely buy clothing just to wrap them around her tits. Like there's a later episode in a kimono, right? You would never wrap the upper part of your kimono around like the circumference of your tits, right? But Elma does that. Just like Aldo's describing with her work uniform, she's wearing a blazer, but instead of, just buying a bigger blazer put over your tits, it's like, no, like I'm just gonna wrap them around my tits.
And it's never acknowledged either.
No.
It's just one of those things that you see and it just
You're
goes
just like,
on.
okay.
You just let it.
Yeah.
And it's also funny because like the characters will sexualize each other, but like strangers on the street never do, kind of.
Nobody's a horny nerd.
Well, not even that. Like, imagine if you... I get anime. I was about to say, like, imagine you saw a girl with, like, bright pink hair and giant tits. But, like, imagine, like, you're just like, why the fuck does that 5-year-old thing have, like, these 2 giant,
tits.
like... not even tits. You'd be like, what the fuck is that? Like, no one acknowledges it on the street. None of it. Mm-hmm. So, Toru defeats Alulu. And Alulu... wanting to like convince Toru to come back to the Chaos faction has to like fuck up with like her human life, right? Like her life here on Earth. So she's like, she corners Kobayashi when Kobayashi gets out of work. Kobayashi is taking the train home by herself, and Kobayashi gives like her Naruto speech, right? Which is like, I don't want to have to fight you, bro. Like, can we just be friends? And like, that's kind of what Kobayashi does to Alulu here, right? Just like, kind of like gives her a hug, like tries to reason with her, being like...
It's because she finds her after this other guy tried to like kill her, basically. In an alley.
Yeah. And that, I'm glad you brought that up, because that's something that like never comes up the rest of the season. So, there's some kind of unnamed 4th dragon faction that wants to kill both Alulu and Toru in the human world.
Yeah, he's like a bounty hunter or some shit like
Yes.
that. It was weird.
Right.
He's still trying to keep the humans safe. That's why he was trying to eliminate them.
Yeah.
So it's weird where he stands.
Yeah, and it was just gonna be like this whole like, is there gonna be like monster hunters in this fucking
Right, so...
anime? But yeah, it's never mentioned again.
What's the turn of events there? So, he attacks Alulu. Alulu runs away. Kobayashi finds Alulu, but like
she's like halfway. He's still beating her up when Kobayashi finds her. Kobayashi's like waiting around, or I don't even know how it happened, but Kobayashi found her in an alley, about to die, and this guy was like, "Oh, pretend that you didn't see anything and leave." And she blows off like this rape whistle or something that she has.
Yeah, she's like,
And I thought it was gonna explode on him. It just like hits his head and falls, and he's
yeah.
And that's when she picks up Alulu and takes off running.
I think you have me confused because the story I wanted to tell first was Alulu giving Kobayashi a dick.
Oh.
So the story you're describing comes at the end of that episode.
Yes,
Okay.
yes,
So
yes.
there's a couple of interactions that Alulu has on her own with Kobayashi out of work, right? The first one is Alulu's like talking to Kobayashi, just talking shit about Toru and being like, why are you hanging out with that dragon? Don't you know she's a deadly beast? And Kobayashi's just like, dude, that's my friend. I don't know what to tell you. And Alulu, trying to think of a way to like fuck with Toru, is like, so the way the interaction is, they're on like a crosswalk, right? And Alulu has these giant fucking tits and is just looking Kobayashi dead in the face and just like, how can I get you to betray Toru? And it's just like rubbing on her tits, right? just
like
passively
assaulting her with her tits.
But she was like
remember.
thinking out loud while rubbing her tits, just like, how could I distract you? And like Kobayashi's really like jealous of like girls with tits because she doesn't have any. So she's like looking at her tits. So that's when Alulu like looks at her and is just like with her big ass tits in her head, just like, oh, is it these? Is this what you want? And Kobayashi's just like, no, I'm a girl. I don't like these. Which like I feel this is what I mean about like the sexualization of women that like women here. Like they try to pretend in this anime that Kobayashi wasn't about it,
like
right?
women.
Wasn't about it. And her excuse is like, no, I don't have a pair of dick and balls. Like, I don't like tits, I swear. which, like, I feel like that's not true, because I feel like there's probably millions of women out there that like tits, like, a lot. And so...
Even straight girls like tits.
Even straight girls like tits. I was... Everyone likes tits. so Alulu trying to like get back at Toru and like fuck with Kobayashi for not being attracted to her. I don't know. Like casts like a spell on her and gives Kobayashi a dick when she falls asleep on the train. Mm-hmm. So Kobayashi falls asleep on a train ride.
And you're right. Like even right before that, the dialogue is very weird because like Ilulu somehow knows. It's like, I get
you like
it.
titties.
It's like you're with Miss Kobayashi because you like her, but like throughout the whole time she's all like in her mind,
freaking
in her
out.
like the mental dialogue is like, no, how could that be possible? No, I don't like her.
I just live with her and I pay her rent and like and she cooks for me.
And now we see like when that happens, when she gets when she gets a dick installed. Fucking
yeah, so Alulu literally puts a curse on her. Like Kobayashi falls asleep on the train, wakes up in a panic at her train stop. Is like, oh fuck, I'm already here. I gotta get off. And like has to pee like in the train station. And she just looks down and she's like, what is this? She's just like hella confused. And so then she has to go home. And now all of a sudden, now that she's got like a dick and balls, now like we can acknowledge that. Yeah, now we can acknowledge that she's attracted to Toru.
She get like right away. Like,
well, when she woke up that morning, it was Kana that was sleeping in her bed.
Oh yeah.
But like under the sheets and everything, but she had no idea, and she like takes off her sheets. She's like, Kana, what are you doing here? And like where her dick is supposed to be, it's like almost in Kana's face, like not sexualized. They're all wearing clothes. But
she was like spooning Kana's face.
Yeah. And Kana's like, oh, I thought you might be cold overnight. Just super innocent.
I'm warm, okay?
So she has to go like the whole day, like not understanding, and, like
a small montage of her having a dick.
Yeah. It's just like, how do I aim and swing with this thing? Like, God, how do I put this in my pants? This is so annoying.
And then Miss Kobayashi's there, and they're watching TV, and then on TV it's a row exercise.
They're rowing.
You can do at work. And now as a man, Kana and Kobayashi just being girls having fun, just get on the rowing position all close. They just
straddle her.
And they're just like...
Yeah, so Toru's like straddling behind Kobayashi, but then Kana's like in between like
she's being
Miss Kobayashi. Yeah, she's being sandwiched like in the couch and just like
being Kana
between her legs and like.
And then Kobayashi has huge tits also. I mean, not Kobayashi. Toru has huge tits. And she's just slamming them into her back, like just consistently, just like row, just slam.
And I think the funniest scene for me with this little Miss Kobayashi has a dick stint is she gets home from work one day and she's just tired and just wants like her back rub, like just like man. And like Miss Kobayashi kind of do it anyways. Like she essentially likes having a tall glass of scotch, like at the end of a hard work day. Is obsessed with maid culture. It has a giant titted
Mm-hmm.
girlfriend. Like she's a horny dude as far as I'm concerned, right? But like sorry, Alden. Just this one scene before I forget it. Is she comes home from work and Toru's coming out of the shower, right? And like this is when Kobayashi like really acknowledges that like she's like really into Toru. So Toru, they're just girls, right? And Kobayashi's never like been about Toru like that, even though Toru would love to jump on Kobayashi. Mm-hmm. And Toru just comes out like wet out of the shower with just a towel on, and Kobayashi immediately like tries like grabbing like her pants. It's just like, oh no. And like she can't even look at Toru in the face, and Toru's just like, hey, what's up? Like,
what's wrong?
Look at me. What's going on? It's just hilarious.
Well, she did a nightcap after this, remember?
Yeah.
That's what I thought was hilarious.
When Kana went to sleep, it's like, hey, the kids are asleep.
You want to have a little drink after your hard work?
Yeah, and Toru essentially says like right here, I knew the first day you had a dick. Like I've been trying to like sauce you up and like get close to you this whole time. But see, that's what I mean. Like it wants to be progressive, but then it's not progressive. Like wouldn't Kobayashi have always been into her? You don't have to turn Miss Kobayashi into a dude to be like, it's okay for her to be attracted to Toru now.
But then again, you can think about it. It could also be of somebody that doesn't really know if they are gay or not, because that's kind of what I saw first.
Yeah, that's the way that I interpret also.
You know?
It's like Miss Kobayashi has these internal feelings, but doesn't
really
accept it or express it yet.
Or,
like
acts on them. You know what I'm saying? Because...
feels like a closeted person.
and that's what I was going to say. Like, remember not too long ago, I was telling you about this interview I heard with Seth Rogen? that the way they direct a lot of the movies is like a little X, big X kind of writing style that. Like, for example, Superbad started about being about getting liquor for a party, and then it's not about that, it's about the friends you make along the way.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So here in Miss Kobayashi, you can put all these awesome things on it, like all this also, like, the fantastical themes of, like, the dragons, the fighting, the funny moments and everything, but overall, all that is on top of, like, this story about a sexually confused girl who is now we're following as a family almost.
That went over my head. I always thought it was like almost explicit that Kobayashi was gay.
Really?
No, she lives with like her girlfriend. They have like a family together.
Because even like the first time she finds Toru, she was drunk and she did it out of impulse and stuff like that. So it feels like now she is like working through these feelings that she's having.
There is a quote in this season, I don't know which episode it is, where Kobayashi's just thinking in her head, she's like, well, I wouldn't mind losing my virginity, but I'm not actively trying to lose it.
Oh, that's another thing. She's a virgin.
Yeah, that's like the exact quote, though. Yeah.
So I feel like she doesn't know. I feel like she's confused.
I feel like she's confused also. I agree.
Mm-hmm.
But then after all of her penis is when she sees Ilulu almost killed. That's the part that I was talking about earlier.
Right. So the dick like limps away. I don't know. Like it just kind of it just progressively starts to disappear. Right?
Nerds, if you don't use it, you lose it. Okay.
So
there's even this one scene where she's like in the rush, or I think she finished using the restroom, and she's like, "Well, at least it's gotten smaller."
But see, and that's the funny part because it's the immediate next scene that Toru tries to give her the nightcap and tries to fuck her. That's right then, and like Toru waited till it was at like its smallest.
Oh, that was so funny. She like undressed and everything. She's, I'm ready.
I you know what? I think the word the dub uses is like literally like I'm ready to consummate or I'm ready to mate with you or something. Like they're gonna have a whole ass kid together
or something.
Yes, breed. It was breed.
Yes.
And I remember being like, is that possible?
Like a dragon human?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like
that with shout out.
How fantastical does it get? I don't know.
I don't know. So the dick just kind of limps away. And this is the scene that you were describing earlier. So like then like Kobayashi's looking for Lulu, being like, wow, I'm sure she's trapped in this world. I need to help her and save her and try to make friends with her, right? Like Naruto stuff. So that's when she gets jumped by some nameless fucking headhunter for dragons or whatever the fuck his name was. And Kobayashi like grabs said rape whistle when she finds a Lulu like getting hurt on the ground, throws it at the guy, runs away, and like her being in danger was enough to like alert Toru, and that's when Toru like comes because like no one's gonna lay hands on Kobayashi as long as Toru's around, right?
Well, that guy found them again hiding
in like the park, right?
Yeah, he like he did something to Kobayashi.
He like pushed her down or something.
Yeah, and I think she got like blood, and then that's when Toru shows up. Like, what did you do? Like, excuse me, you fucked with who?
Yeah, it was fucking ridiculous because I think the guy hits Ilulu first, and then Kobayashi was like, "Yo, don't hit him." It's like, "Get the fuck out of here, human!" Fucking like punches her, and that's when fucking
Demon Toru
is like just posted up like on top of a building like Batman and shit.
Yeah.
You just see her shadow and like her eyes just.
And, like she doesn't even say shit. She's just like. Like bonks this dude in the head.
This dude like immediately starts pussing out too. He's just like, I don't care if you're the Chaos faction, the Demon Lord's daughter. Like, I have to kill this girl. You shouldn't even be here either. Come with me so I can arrest you too.
He does that thing. He's like, backup is coming. Backup is coming. I swear.
What a pussy.
Yeah.
So then like Toru essentially off screen murks him, but like doesn't murk him. Like we're led
to says she didn't.
We're led to believe that like. I don't think she killed him. So
she
like,
sent him to a different world.
Right. So like Toru has the power to like open the dimension to the other world. And like off screen, like Kobayashi kind of covers her eyes because she doesn't want to see this dragon man get murdered. And Toru says she just rips off part of his horn as punishment, and she has the horn with her, and she's just like, yeah, I sent him back to his world, but I just took his horn as punishment.
Not without punishing him first. Mm-hmm. And then Toru's like, oh, good girl. Or Kobayashi's like, oh, good girl. Thank you.
And like, that's a cool, like, sub-story to get a Lulu to, like, start to see Kobayashi as a friend, because Kobayashi, like, stood up to, like, this demon dragon thing. But this like B plot about there being like whole like dragon headhunters in another world that could come get Toru at any moment never comes up again. Never comes up again. After like after episode 2 just doesn't come up for like 10 more episodes.
Nope.
But that really did open Ilulu's eyes to Kobayashi, I guess. And
which was the point, but like if you're gonna make up a plot, like you can follow it up at some point.
It was good though. I think they executed it really well. Besides it not being shown again.
Because honestly, by the time this, anime ends, I don't really care about like the
other one.
hunters.
They were just trying to introduce Ilulu into part of the family.
Yeah, and
then she did. Like the next day, she was in the house because that's when Kobayashi fainted. And then the next day, she wakes up and Ilulu's like hugging her and holding her. And then I don't know what happens. I just remember at one point she was like...
it's right then. Because Kobayashi just out of like fear and like strain just like passes out.
Mm-hmm. That's when they like became friends. Mm-hmm.
Right. So and that's why Kobayashi starts getting like insanely jealous of Ilulu too. Because like the whole time Kobayashi's passed out, Ilulu's like sleeping over her. And even when Kobayashi wakes up, she's just like, why the fuck is she here? And Toru just all mad. Just like, oh, she just really wanted to be close to you, she said. I don't know what that means.
But no, because she says at one point, she's like, Kobayashi, I want to make... Or Ilulu's like, I want to make babies with Kobayashi. And that's when Toru's like, what? You said what? Like, super, super, super pissed. And I thought that was so funny, because you can see, like, how their little family is working out.
Because even Miss Kobayashi has this whole thing where, like, oh, she found another dragon. You know? Like, she's like, I should be happy for her. And, like, she thinks, like, it's almost like a breakup thing at one point.
Toru does?
No,
is that what you're saying?
Kobayashi?
Kobayashi
is even having those feelings, too, at the office.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Am I wrong?
Well, I'm confused the context here. Can you follow it up for me?
Yeah. No, I'm confused.
Like, Lulu was mad that Kobayashi... Toru said that she wanted to make babies with Miss Kobayashi, right?
Yes.
Correct.
Correct.
In the other side of that coin, we also have, like, Miss Kobayashi feeling a almost, like, breakup feeling between Toru and her because Ilulu is here.
I don't remember that.
I don't remember that either.
No?
No, I don't remember that at all.
You might be right, but I don't remember it.
It was, like, in the same episode, but it was just, like, back and forth through that episode.
I don't remember because like I don't remember. I'm sure you're right, but like episode 3 is Ilulu getting acclimated with like the human world, I guess, because Kana has her little 6-year-old friend Riko. Saikoa. Who's Riko?
I don't know.
Oh, Riko Saikoa.
Oh.
Okay.
So, Kana brings over her little friend to play on, like, a day off, right? It's probably, like, a Saturday or Sunday. But Lulu is just, like, bumming it around the house and doesn't know, like, how to, like, participate in the real world almost. And there's, like, a whole, like, hilarious scene between Toru and Ilulu when Ilulu's trying to, like, get used to changing her human form because when
the hand part?
Yeah, when Ilulu first shows up to the human world, she can't make human hands, right? So she just has like dragon claws and like this big ass dragon tail over like her giant titted human body, right? So Toru at some point is like, you need to do something about these hands. You need to start getting a job. You got to do something about your tail. Like you can't be out here in the human world like this. So Lulu's just like, okay, I'll make hands, and they just look like cartoon little like
cylinders, just
stumps.
Yeah, little stumps, right?
And it gets so weird,
but
bro.
Then Kobayashi hands her.
She's flipping a paper book.
Toru gives Ilulu like her guide on how to survive in the human world. It's like you need to be able to make food.
Like, greet people.
You need to be able to greet people. But like she's flipping the pages just with this stump thing.
She's like, they can still grab, and then flips the page.
And it zooms in, and it's just like millions of tiny little human hands just like gripping it.
Like, I need you to learn how to make better hands. And she's like, okay. It's just a bunch of tiny hands in one, and it zooms into this little cylinder hand thing that she has. It's just millions of hands, like you said.
Shout out to the animation.
That was hilarious.
The animation, decision to make that. It was hilarious. It was hilarious.
It was so good.
Yeah. It's so weird. It's like a Powerpuff Powerpuff Girl hands.
Yes, that's exactly what it looks like. It looks like Powerpuff Girl hands.
And like they can grab stuff.
Even though people had actual hands in Powerpuff Girls, like there were people with human hands, but nobody ever brings up why the Powerpuff Girls just have like these big ass fucking nubs. Anyways,
even Mojo Jojo had little...
Even Mojo Jojo had hands, exactly. Anyways, so Alulu doesn't want anything to do with anybody that's not Kobayashi, basically. So kind of brings Saikawa to the house.
She's scared.
She's awkward, kind of, right? Like, so they make her a bed inside of Kobayashi's closet. They give her Toru's old clothes, and I think they say flat out that Alulu and Toru are the same age, but they try to, like, Alulu's interactions in the human world are much more that of a teenager, right? Mm-hmm. Like, she gets along a lot better with children. She works for, like, a candy store.
She says at one point that she's 16. I'm not sure how old they make Toru, but I know that they try to portray her in
the human world as being 16. Even though she's, like, thousands of years old because she's a dragon.
But it's, like, Kana. Like, she must be...
Like,
hundreds of years old.
Yeah. So, yeah. So, Saikawa's introduction to Alulu is what starts humanizing Alulu a little bit. And that's where, like...
It was funny, too, because it was the other one with the big titties. What is her name? Lukua? She, like, tells Alulu to wait somewhere, and I guess she's going to trick Saikawa into meeting with her. And Alulu just, like, walks into the restroom and sits on the toilet. She's like, okay, I'll wait here. And then Lukua does, like, this spell to make Saikawa have to pee. So when she goes into the restroom, she's like, oh my god, I'm sorry, because she finds Alulu on the toilet, and then Lukua just locks him into the toilet together, like, into the little restroom together. And that's when she was like, oh, like, I'll be your friend. But that part was really funny, too, because that's when Alulu's thinking to herself in her head, like, oh my god, this bitch is crazy. And she's talking about Saikawa, like, the only human that's there right now.
Mm-hmm. I think it's funny how little Alulu matters by, like, the end of the season. Because I feel like the first, like, 4 or 5 episodes are all about Alulu. Just all about Alulu. Because, like I was saying, she starts working for, like, a candy store at one point because Kobayashi and Toru especially, like, are mad that she's just bumming around the apartment all day, right? Like, even Toru has shit to do all day. And Alulu can't exactly go to school because she sees herself as being too old and she can't, like, mold in, like, the way Kana does. So... They're
all about, like, contributing to society somehow, too.
Right, like, really becoming part of, like, the human world. So, they're walking by, like, a candy store one day, or they have, like, a different name for it. Some kind of, like, Japanese-sounding name. That's, like, essentially, like, a candy/hobby store for kids, where, like, kids are playing with, like, Beyblades out front. Like, the little battle tops.
They sell, like, little knickknacks for, like, a bunch of cultures, I think. Because they say that all sorts of different people go there. They're all kids.
It just reminds me like a regular, like, Mexican corner store.
Yeah.
You know?
When like your grandma gives you 20 pesos.
Yeah, you just go and they happen to have everything you need there. Like, it's like, you have 2 tomatoes and, like, some cheese, and then you get some papitas, and then you play some fucking arcade.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's exactly where Alulu starts working. And, like, this is one of the funny interactions for me, too, because... The grandson. So... This really old lady that Kobayashi knows from the, what would you call them? The, like, neighborhood meetings? The like, neighborhood watch meetings almost?
Yeah.
Since Toru's really involved in the community, she knows the owner of this corner store. And she's like, hey, can you give my friend a job? And this old lady, like, hurt herself the week before. She's got bad hips. She can't be limping around the store like that. She gets her grandson to train Alulu. And the thing about Alulu is she's... like, the opposite socially awkward of, like Toru, for example, because Alulu, like, knows people would just want these giant tits all the time, right? Toru, like, tries to, like, pretend she doesn't have tits all the time, or so does Elma, too. It doesn't make any sense.
But Alulu also has the biggest tits of them all.
Right. So
reasonably huge.
She's, like, teasing a 16-year-old, the grandson of the owner of this candy shop, because he's supposed to train her, and he's just like, I don't know what fucking beast my grandma hired because
Where
this
did
is
she meet this man?
this is like a men's XL shirt that I have to go give her for
NFL
the work
player.
uniform. Yeah. Where
He was like upset. He was like venting to his friend that he was upset about the man that the grandma must have hired.
and he shows up and it's just some girl with giant tits, and like Alulu's still not understanding how the human world works, tries changing right in front of him, which is something that like Toru tried doing. Like we've seen this before in this, even in this anime. But, like, even then, he's, like, embarrassed. And, like, his nose starts bleeding anime style. Like, he gets flush red. And she's like, okay, whatever. I'll go change in the back. And she's just, like, fucking with her shirt. Like, she's just, like... She does, like, a circular motion on her tits whenever she's just, like, playing with them.
And the guys are like...
Yeah, he just, I can't help but keep looking. Like, she
She's
can't
like,
even...
pervert.
She knows it. Yeah, she knows it because she's like... He's like, you can't do that. She's like, oh, you're a pervert.
I get it. You're looking at my tits.
Like, she knows what's going on. She
Yeah.
doesn't understand it that much. She's like, oh, you're a pervert. Like, okay.
Yeah, I know perverts. It's like, no.
But she likes it, kind of.
Well, here we see almost like the only like hetero relationship we have in this whole thing. Besides
the one with the 8-year-old?
Oh yeah, that's right. But that's kind of...
That's what I mean. Like, Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid, it's either like we have to pretend that like Kobayashi and Toru aren't in this relationship, or they'll like sexualize children. There's like no in between with Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid, which is super strange. Like, it's a hilarious anime, but like if you want to critique like things that would be morally ambiguous in Western culture, like Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid is like encompasses that a lot. Which it's also a show. It's an anime. It's meant to like comically like laugh at it from afar. But like we wouldn't dare make those kind of jokes over here. Like they're not ethical. Those aren't the kind of, I don't know. Save me from myself. I'm tired of trying to describe this.
At some point while she's working, I remember a little kid is curious about her boobs. I think it's a girl. But she was like, she didn't say titties, but it was something like, oh my god, your titties are massive. And then she's like, oh, these things, they're called like fiber sacks.
They're my flame glands.
And then she's just like holding them up and down, and the little kid is like, are they heavy? And she's like, do you want to hold them? And the grandson comes out again.
Like,
he's
no,
freaking
you're not
out.
supposed to do that. That shit. The whole part is hilarious.
It's stupid funny. One of the other major stories that happened after Alulu starts figuring out her own is we get a lot more backstory on Elma. Like, we get almost as many Elma episodes this season as we did Alulu episodes. And Elma is basically like Toru's first girlfriend, essentially. Yeah, it's like kind of that, like not even toxic ex. They were just like toxic together. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like an ex that stays in your circle of friends, so you have to continue dealing with them.
It's How I Met Your Mother. I don't fucking know.
Yeah.
So, basically, like they say other world, but then it also is like human past, I guess, where it's like. Essentially like Mesopotamia or like ancient Egypt or something like that.
It reminded me of ancient Egypt a lot.
Elma was like a water enchantress goddess person, right? So this human civilization would give gifts and sweets and just like mainly sweets to Elma.
That's why she's obsessed.
To get her to like to water their crops, to make it rain, right? And like people are committing like entire wars in Elma's name, and like
she lives like in a temple.
She lives in a temple. Like they're fighting over her as a resource. And Toru is like a passerby in this world, right? She's just like this loner, this wanderer, and sees like how toxic what Elma's doing is, and kind of confronts her as an enemy, being like, "Hey, like I don't participate with the humans, but what you're doing is clearly exploitative, and you shouldn't be doing that." And Elma, like on her high horse, is like, "What do you mean? I'm giving their lives purpose. They love worshiping me.
I'm doing this to maintain peace within their society."
Exactly. Just like
because
Aqua.
what is her thing again?
Like Aqua.
For her type of dragon?
Oh, I can't even remember. Like she's like a sea serpent or something like that.
Oh yeah, yeah, because she does turn into like a mermaid.
So, they fight. They have this ginormous fight that
like Toru destroys the whole city,
temple. Yeah, and again the fights are dope, especially between Elma and Toru, because the thing about Toru that is funny is that she might be like the strongest dragon we see.
Yeah.
Like she beat her dad in hand-to-hand combat, like the end of season 1. She beat Alulu with her giant flame sacks. Elma uses like strictly spells and magic and giant energy blasts with her trident and can't beat her. Fafnir is like a poison dragon and never could beat her in a fight.
Toru's like biggest concern is just eliminating everyone and everything around her.
Honestly, like, and by the end of it, it's said that Toru tried to fight like the gods on her own, basically.
Oh yeah, like all of the gods.
She tried fighting Zeus essentially on her own.
With all the dragons.
Without
Zeus
anybody
and
else.
the rest of them.
Yeah, like, Toru's
her
the biggest
against the
badass, apparently. So, her even fighting Elma, and like Elma having never died is like a really big feat. So then, they essentially become best friends. It's one of those where it's like, it's a stalemate. They can't beat each other, so they just have to become besties just to watch each other's back. If you slip up, I'm gonna cut your throat.
We're gonna fight again.
I'm gonna punch you in the balls, you fuck up. Like, so they spend like millennia. They watch like the rise of human civilization, just them two, like essentially being best friends. Like they cuddle at night. They tell each other everything. They're a couple. I don't know. Like it seems so like explicit, but at the same time it's not explicit because they weren't really together, and now they hate each other, and it's super toxic because the scene that's being described is Elma and Toru at like breakfast over brunch or something. They're having like pastries in a cafe, are explaining the story of how they met and how they grew up together to Kobayashi, and Kobayashi's even sitting there being like, wow, they basically know everything about each other, can complete each other's sentences. And they fucking hate each other. I wish I had somebody like that.
Yeah, she does say that. Because they're like best friends who... I guess, yeah. They're just like a toxic couple that broke up.
Yeah.
So,
where do we go from here?
I don't even know. We've just been kind of jumping around a little bit.
Yeah,
because we get a couple episodes with Toru here, too, where I think the first... Not Toru, Kana. We get a couple Kana-only episodes.
Saikoa's character is crazy, Doug.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And if we want to touch about, like getting to know your sexuality, like here we have like a 8-year-old,
Yeah.
like having sexual feelings to another girl.
She is sure.
You know what I'm saying? So she's like, I love Kana.
Like, I want to touch Kana. I want Kana to touch me.
Unapologetically loves
Yes.
I want to rub Kana down, like, all that stuff. Like,
they even have a little game at one point, remember?
And
it's in the episode where Alulu meets Saikoa, where Saikoa starts losing the game on purpose because every time she loses...
It was like loser says who they like, and she's like, "Well, I love Kana. Everyone knows that."
No.
But
I was gonna say this is the one where Kana's like, if you lose, you have to give me a back rub.
Oh my god!
So she's like, oh, love to give you a back rub. But she's like,
It
no,
was
don't
a
do
tummy
that.
rub, and it's so cute because
It was a
Kana just
tummy
lays
rub.
down, just lays down and closes her, and it's like if you're rubbing your dog's tummy, you know how they just love that. Like same, she's a dragon, like. Essentially, she's just this little dragon person. But Saikoa doesn't know she's a dragon, right?
No.
No, and what I love is that it's not sexual as either. It's just like a cute little couple. It's like, I know they're gonna be lesbians when they grow up.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Which is okay. You know, like
There's even a scene where they take a hike down the river. And they're eating lunch next to each other, and Saikoa forgets her chopsticks, and it's just like, oh no, Kana can...
she had a spoon and threw it on the floor.
Right,
and I was
right.
Kana, can I share chopsticks with you?
And so Kana, after using the chopsticks already, will be like, here, Saikoa, of course you can. What happened?
No, she had an extra spare
Oh!
chopsticks. And then, but it was kind of cool because that's when Saikoa kind of turns around and looks at the camera. And she's like, oh, of course you would have an extra pair. Like,
Yeah.
super mad. But then something happens and she's like, you want to share this potato fry? And instead of just giving it
there
to
was
her,
only one, but here, let's have half. And she bites half of it.
No, she put it in her mouth and they like bit.
Oh,
like,
yeah, the noodle.
they almost
oh, that's
kissed.
right.
They
yeah,
called
yeah.
it a potato fry. I think it's a French fry.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, some shit like that.
But then later, like in that same little, like a minute later, she bites something and she's like, "Oh, here, do you want the rest of it?"
Correct, because
She's
there's
like,
only one of
a
them.
second kiss or
An indirect kiss.
An indirect kiss.
Second-hand kiss or
A
something.
second-hand kiss, yeah. So Psycho was like off the shit.
In love.
And the scene you were describing earlier about the game is that like there's some like boy characters that like are just like trying to tease Psycho and and
They're playing
and
like
Kana.
soccer, like a little ghetto version of soccer.
Right, so there's just like a little slipper, like one of the school slippers, just like abandoned on the ground. And the boy's like, if I win this, then you have to tell...
They're like kicking it into a bucket, like
you have
soccer.
essentially. If I get a goal inside of this bucket, then you have to tell everybody who you like or something like that, right? So Psycho was like desperate for the shoe to not get in there, or how did it work?
She was, at first she didn't care because she's like, oh, I don't care, I love Kana, and everyone knows I love Kana. Then the little boy was like, but don't you want to know who Kana likes? So now she's on a mission to make the girl team lose the game because she wants to know who Kana likes. But Kana, just being this dragon super all-star at everything that they are, just as much as Psycho tries to avoid the little shoe getting into the bucket, Kana just makes it in, and she's like so upset about it. They won, but she's pissed because now Kana doesn't have to say who she likes.
Yeah, and but I think at a certain point, Kana knows Psycho likes her because
I didn't even know if Kana likes.
Yeah,
Psycho.
I don't know Kana.
Well, I don't know if Kana likes Psycho like that, but I think Kana knows Psycho likes her like that. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like, there's even a certain point where she's describing to new characters, like, oh, yeah, my best friend Psycho. She makes this goofy, like, lovey face, like, whenever I'm around her. Like, she knows what's up. I don't know.
She's like the person that, like, uses the kid to do their homework, but without doing it intentionally.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, she doesn't realize what she's doing, but she's like, oh, this girl likes me. Like, she'll do this.
Before I forget it, there is a funny scene where, you're right, there's several characters that actively try to keep the dragon secret away from Psycho, where,
she's bathing.
Yeah, well, where it's the episode where they're walking down to the end of the river because the boys bet them they couldn't do that, and they basically have like a date day of them hiking down the river in the summer next to the river and have lunch together, and it's super cute.
And Psycho is like super. She's like me. Like front to front. She's to the boys like, yeah, I can walk over there. I can do it. I don't care. And then behind scenes to Kana, she's all crying. She's like, how am I gonna do this? I don't know what I got myself into.
So the funniest part of that episode for me is Elma is bathing in the river, but she forgot to use.
She's on her dragon self. Yeah.
She's in her dragon form, but she forgot to use like her invincibility or whatever the spell is.
Yeah, her
invisibility barrier
chance, some shit like that.
And
perspective, something like that. Yeah,
because I know she has a clairvoyance spell. They use clairvoyance a lot, but I forget what this one is. But anyways, Psycho sees Elma and tries to take a picture of Elma in dragon form, and Kana's just getting in the way, being like, "Oh, look over here! Look at me! Don't you like my face? Take pictures of me, friend! Aren't I so cute?" And I don't know. It's just a funny scene. There's a lot of
perception blocking.
That's what it was.
A lot of these gags are really visual, and I feel like a dork trying to describe them in an audio format. But you should definitely watch Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid.
It's so good.
It's the whole walk by the river is really awesome because they have lunch, like how we spoke with a secondhand kiss. They go to where the rivers meet.
Yeah,
correct. And
an old couple takes a picture of them together.
Yeah, and like the animations on Psycho, just of her like freaking the fuck out just because Kana did something. It's just really cool.
I think
it's really funny. It's not even a drag to watch or anything like that.
I think one of the biggest standout episodes in this season is a Kana episode about her like just going to New York for a weekend, where the episode starts and it's Kana like storming out of the apartment building, being like, "You know what, Kobayashi?
I hate you.
I hate you. Shut up. I'm leaving." Just like this 3 foot tall, like 100-year-old dragon just telling you to go shut up. Yeah,
I'm out of here.
But it's like super lispy and soft too. Shut up. I hate you so much. And she just like
I'm leaving.
She just like falls asleep while flying and just like flies to the other side of the fucking globe and ends up in New York City for whatever reason. But And it's funny because she doesn't even realize that like humans speak a different language essentially, or that
like
there's
she
different
doesn't
cultures.
know any other humans.
Right, exactly. So it's just like, why is everyone talking in this weird language? But in the dub, it looks really stupid because it's a dub, right? So we were already watching in English, and they show up to New York, and
They're talking English.
They're talking English, but like really shitty, like New York English. Hey, get out of here!
Yeah,
Like,
they give him like a super, like, oh, this guy's from New York. Oh, okay.
oh, okay. Hey, I'm walking here. Like,
I love that Kana tried to buy a hot dog like 3 times.
with yen.
I was like,
That made me so
dude.
sad.
Like, she's just like, I don't-
hungry,
Like,
guys.
it turned into Home Alone, like Lost in New York. Like,
Yeah. It's just like, oh, I don't know what anybody's saying, but I'm so hungry. Oh, look, a hot dog vendor. Please give food. Here's yen.
here you go.
And grumble, grumble, grumble. I don't know what he's saying.
Doesn't get hot dog.
Doesn't get hot dog.
Hey.
Tries to get
Hey.
food. But see, in the sub, it's even stupider. Because, like, I hate when Japanese subs try to put English in anime because it's even shittier. It's just like... It's just like really, it's an ugly word, but like bastardized like English, like it's.
I mean, I don't mind it.
Did you watch it in the sub?
No, I didn't.
Okay.
No.
You should watch this episode
okay.
in the sub because like it doesn't even
sub?
sound like English. It doesn't even sound like they're
Sub as in substitute?
no subtitled.
So, so what does dub mean?
Doubled.
I've been using it the opposite. I keep saying the English dub.
Oh, sorry.
No, English
Dub
dub.
means
English
doubled?
a dub is just like a voiceover. So an English dub would be like an English voiceover of a Japanese anime, and sub just means subtitles, like the Japanese, Japanese language
okay, never mind. I thought you were
with English
saying,
subtitles.
so I was using it correctly?
I think so.
The English dub is the English
Yeah,
version?
it's the English version. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
misunderstood.
Like in Spanish, I know it's like doblaje en español, so you would double the movie's audio to
With
English.
Spanish?
With
When it,
English.
like, doesn't match the words?
Kinda, like, what they try, but yeah, it looks all clunky because that English, right? But like in animation, you can't tell.
Yeah. But anyways, I hate how Japanese subs do English because that was an issue in Love is War too.
Mm-hmm.
Remember whenever they had English because it's supposed to be a prep school and they're like super well educated, multicultural, but like every time they would speak English is like that's not fucking how English sounds.
Mm-hmm.
Or I'll ask you a lot, too, when I'm reading. It's, like, in English, so it's a dub. But then it's also the English subtitles.
Yeah,
And they just don't align?
Netflix is bad about that because Netflix, for whatever reason, can't hire somebody else to just like subtitle their English dubs, so they just keep the same subtitles for both the Japanese subs and the English dubs. So like they sometimes like certain words are changed or like they're because in the dub they're trying to fit the language to the lips, right? Mm-hmm. So like they either have to use longer language or shorter language depending on like the phrase that's being said. So like sometimes whole like sentences can change, but Netflix is super bad about keeping the Japanese subs for the whole anime, even if it's an English dub. And going in that same like sequence that we get certain episodes about certain people, we do finally get like a Lukua and Fafnir episodes, which like these are probably like our third tier-ish characters that we don't get a lot of. So like if our main family is like Kana and Toru and Kobayashi and now Iluna or whatever, Ilulu, like tier 2 is probably what, like Elma and what's his name, the best friend, the dude from work.
Oh, I don't know his name.
Fafnir's roommate. Anyway, so then tier 3...
The nerd.
Yeah, the nerd. So then tier 3 is kind of like Fafnir and Lukua's little boy toy thing.
It's like the two male characters that I mentioned earlier that randomly... They're like the only characters that consistently reappear that are men.
His name is Takia.
Takia?
So yeah. So like...
The guy with like the swirly eyes?
Mm-hmm. Fafnir's roommate, yeah. And
that reminds me of Drew. He's just nerdy and about work and just a nerd.
Like his glasses just turn into like...
Yeah,
we're not talking about him, everybody.
Okay,
we're trying to describe an episode where Fafnir calls up Lukua, and then what happens?
Well, Fafnir, I guess in like his dragon life where he was living before he came to Earth, had a lot of riches, had like a big fortune, because they always show flashbacks to him just guarding over his treasure.
Well, that's when he met Toru. They had they call it like a 100-day fight or something, where she just wanted to sleep in the cave he was in, and they basically had like a fight to the death because that was like where his treasure was. So like he wasn't gonna back down. And the thing about Fafnir in his dragon form, he's also like a poison dragon, and he looks like a fucking demon in the face.
He's really cool. He reminds me of like just like a skinny goth kid, like.
In his human form, yeah.
Yeah, in his human form. Mm-hmm.
So he calls up his friend Luca, and he's just like, "Hey, I'm trying to write like a manga, like a light novel or something."
And like go ahead.
I think it's for a Comic-Con.
Yeah, like a Comic-Con kind of convention thing going on in Japan too.
Yeah.
And I believe that even before this, I think it's the same episode where we know that the 8-year-old boy who is
his name is Shota.
Shota. Well, Shota's familiar is Luqua. Like they have this whole like half of episode about him trying to overpower her, to like not control her, but like
learn her weakness.
Yeah, to dominate her somehow.
It's because she's just bonded herself to him, and he just...
Well, he summoned her.
Well, yeah, she did.
So Shota is like the son of a wizard family. And him, like, on accident, kind of, like...
summons a whole dragon.
Well, she was already in the human world, right?
I think so, yeah.
She heard the call to a familiar is how I think she put in season 1. She just thought he was some cute little 8-year-old boy, and was just kind of like, cool, I'll be your familiar, whatever, and just like bonded herself to him.
And this is the 8-year-old boy that we like keep referring to as the one that's getting harassed by a grown woman almost. But
yeah.
She doesn't. I don't even think she realizes she's harassing him. She just thinks she's like bonded to him and like, oh, that's my friend. That's who I'm watching over.
No, she wants his gaze though. She does want his attention like that.
Does she?
She does, because it happens in the episode we're describing. Because so there's like a whole other.
She sends the other one.
There's like a whole other episode about like about Shota trying to get advice from Takia on how to control women and how to talk to women, and where
I don't want her tits in my face all the time.
Yeah, and he's like traumatized by her, and she's always around. He tries gifting her a T-shirt so that she can cover up her giant tits.
The T-shirt's too small because her tits are so big.
And now the hairs, and now they look more crazy. Like he's like, oh fuck, this was a bad idea.
And they tear the shirt tears like
she's
immediately.
Like, look, I'm wearing the shirt that you gave me. Bounce, rip.
And she called him Master then too. She's like, "Thank you, Master, for this gift," and it's just her tits.
And it's crazy because even in the audio, throughout all the like boof jiggles, is like a sound effect too, like.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. Like the fan service is a gag,
crazy,
almost in this Kobayashi.
So I think that's why I like it too, because it's not so sexual, but it's funny.
No, it's funny. Yes,
it's
funny tits. Yeah, tits, but you can laugh at
tits.
It's not
it's like farts. It's like funny farts.
The one anime with the little girl with the horns.
Which one?
The pink girl with the horns.
Oh,
the pink
Darling
yes,
and the Franks?
Darling and the Franks.
They were literally fucking.
Yeah, that's like, okay, fan series, but it's not even meant to be funny. It's just like, oh, let me get in this position so you can ride me so we can make this big robot. Like, there's not even anything to be funny. It's just,
she's just like
let's
describing.
have sex with clothes on. And
she's just describing Darling in the Franxx.
Yeah.
Like, this anime that takes itself very seriously. Like,
what? No, that was like,
no, that's why I agree with you.
This type of fan service. That's funny. It's not meant to be.
I don't like
sexual.
any fan service. I'm not.
I've listened to your other episodes.
No,
you are such a liar.
No, I hate fan service. How though?
We hate fan service here. But I'm so proud of you, Karen. We're so proud of you, Karen, here making references to past animes.
This might be Karen's like 4th episode, her first reference.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Whatever.
And like sometimes I'll catch me too because we'll like, oh, this is like this and that, and I'm like, yes,
there
it
is.
Sweet, yes, it is.
I got that reference. Sweet reference, bro.
Anyways, going back to
what are we talking about?
Speaking of fan service,
so Fafnir.
Yes.
Calls up Luca. I've been trying to describe this episode for like 20 minutes already. So Fafnir's like, okay, so at the last Comic-Con, Takia told me that my magazine didn't sell because it wasn't sexy enough. And
no, he said it was all text, no pictures.
It was all text, no pictures is what Takia said. And he said his internet community told him that he needs to start including narratives about women. And Fafnir, being the fucking weirdo that he is, He's like, okay, cool. So I wrote a story about a lewd, busty woman seducing a child.
And that is torturing him at the same time or some shit like that.
Yeah, no, it's really dark.
Yeah, because
really
she does poses for like the lewd, but then he asked her.
No, but he like insults her to her face. He's like,
what was the word he used?
I need the most like trashy like.
He said a word with an S also, but it was
like he said like vulgar. He called her vulgar. He's like, I need a sensual vulgar model, and you seem to fit the picture more than anybody else I know. So can you model for me?
And under her breath, she's like, wow. You said that to my face?
And then she's like, how am I supposed to do that? It's like, I don't know, just do what you do with that 8-year-old kid. Because she's like,
because he describes
I really do that.
He describes the story to her too, and she's just like, oh, it's just like me and baby Shota. It's so cute.
Like,
but then she keeps reading it, and she's like, oh, this isn't that good.
He's trying. So the story turns into like the 8-year-old boy is so sick of this demon woman that he's trying to like learn how to commit curses so that he can like exorcise her.
And it's just a learning point for Lukua. It's like, oh man, maybe I am too horny around this.
But she doesn't learn, right?
But she doesn't, which is okay.
So Fafnir.
Because I don't think she knows she's being horny.
Yeah.
She does. Hold on. I'm making a point. So they go to the comic convention. Fafnir writes his book, but it's just about exorcism and shit. It looks like, what's his name? The mangaka that writes like the super ugly like manga that's like a bunch of visuals in the sky and eyeballs. It looks like Berserk kind of. Oh, Lloyd would know. There's like
yes.
What's his name?
Fuck.
It's famous, right?
Yes,
and like it's
he makes artwork and shit like that.
Yes. It's famously dark and ugly, but like the guy says he likes the Beatles and shit like that.
Yeah, it looks very Yellow Submarine-ish.
Yeah, so
about horror.
That's basically the kind of magazine that Fafnir writes, and it doesn't sell again because there's no fan service. Taki writes a book; it has adequate fan service, and he sells out like immediately. Lukua is like, oh, I want to go to the convention too and sell something.
Can I write my own, or can I sell my own book?
Right, and it's just like prints of like her pictures, like her lewd pictures.
No, but it was her cosplay photos. Because he was like, well, what is your manga even going to be about? She's like, just all the cosplays that I've done.
Yeah, like I'm just going to dress up and sell my cosplay photos.
Yeah.
And she sells out immediately too.
Imagine between nerds, we're trying to make a booth at the convention, and there's just like this big titty cosplayer getting all the.
That's exactly what would happen. That's literally what would happen. That's literally what would happen.
You're sharing a booth with a big titty cosplayer. What do you expect?
Damn it.
So then
that was your first mistake.
So then she's like, "Can I get a copy of your book, Fafnir? Because since like I helped and I want a copy to show Shota." And Fafnir's just like, "There's no need. I already mailed a copy to your house." And Lukua Shota is there, and he opens it up, and he's like immediately traumatized. He's like, "Oh my god, this is a story about me."
I thought he opened her.
No, it's after. So he's like traumatized because he opens Fafnir's book, and he's like, "Oh my god, this is exactly what she's doing to me." So then, like the after credit scene is Lukua leaves like a copy of her lewd book like on his nightstand so that he can find it, and his immediate like reaction is to freak the fuck out, and he's like,
but that still didn't seem sexualized.
Yes, it did.
Me.
She wanted him to see her nudes.
They weren't nudes; they were cosplays.
It's her.
I think her mind is so like stupid or not stupid, naive.
Like she
naive
just thought,
innocent,
like she just thought it was like just cute, like
because not cute, but it's like he read that one, like here's mine also.
He'll like what I look. It's
he'll like he was reading what Fafnir did. He's gonna read what I did.
It's like
or look at what I did.
It's like strippers calling their outfit cute. Like it might be cute, but that's not what everyone on stage is gonna see.
But see, the strippers are so used to stripping that they're not even like, So you're saying Luca was so immune to her own tits that she doesn't even see it like that? No, Luca just doesn't. She's a dragon. She doesn't understand like the
What does she know
entire
about hidden puberty at 8-year-olds?
I still think she's trying to fuck Shota.
Honestly, I
don't think so.
I do think you're right, Rue. I do think that because of the relationship here, even between
nerds.
Lukua and Shota, is that their relationship is different to...
Don't call them cunts.
He said like cunta.
Their relationships are different because in the context of... in the context of them being like in this like witch-like relationship or contract.
Right. It's supposed to be the relationship between a wizard and his familiar.
Correct. And it seems more like, ooh, that's my master. I just want to please him, like a wife of Dracula kind of thing.
But in a sexual way.
Well, yeah.
So anyways, that's Luko and Fafnir.
I sort of get it.
Honestly,
so it just doesn't make sense to me that she's purposely... They don't make it seem like she's purposely trying to seduce an 8-year-old.
I really think this whole anime is about like just showing like.
All over the place.
I guess you guys are right because like it's kind of like they're all just like hiding from like the relationships that they're all like totally in, right?
Absolutely.
Because this next story I was going to tell is that there's one between Fafnir and Takia, where Takia is talking to Kobayashi. And he's kind of worried because he's like, how do I get Fafnir out of my house for the weekend because my parents are going to show up. And I don't want to have to explain to my parents, like, who this grown-ass man is that I live with and who's my best friend who I spend all my time with, right? So...
That lives with me right
here.
That
lives with me. We essentially share, like, a bed space and... You get what I mean? Like... it's also like Takia being like,
it seemed a little gay. But
yeah, how do I tell my parents, like, you get what I mean? And it comes to like this understanding where Fafnir is essentially like, yeah, like we live together. You're my best friend. I'm totally down to meet your parents. And like Takia like takes that to heart, being like, oh, he does love me. He's down to meet my parents. That's what I mean. So like it's even them like trying to like come to terms with their own relationship, kind of.
Mm-hmm.
That's all this is really about.
Yeah, this whole thing's just trying to be like,
it's cute.
You know the person you love that you live with? Maybe you should be with them.
And again, all these stories between all these dragon couples with humans is like, it's just bringing it in. It's driving it in just for like the sake of the story. You know what I'm saying? For Kobayashi and Toru.
But see, yeah, I agree completely because like the whole point is to like. It's wholesome. It's super wholesome. We haven't described something that's wholesome in a minute. But, and it's weird to describe something with this much fan service as wholesome. But, like, it really tries to be. Because even, like, the music, I love the music. I love the intro and the outro this season. Like, the intro is, like, this really catchy, like, pop anime beat. It's this rising beat.
K-own shit, bro.
Yeah. And the thing about both the intro and the outro here is I don't know if it's on purpose, but they kind of bought the rights to music where there's different vocal patterns that they're able to use as maybe this is a different character singing, right? Like if there's a rapping part in the intro, it's like Toru rapping. If there's like a soft little girl voice, it's Kana coming into frame. Right. So it's like I don't know if that was like if the songs were written for the anime, but like clearly they chose these songs on purpose. Because even the outro, it's 5 different women's audios, and it's just the dragons like switching singing parts, right? That's why like I'm kind of describing this anime like kind of all over the place because it's an amalgamation of stories. It's not as linear as like everything else we've seen. Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid is very comfortable being in like this rom-com kind of space, like How I Met Your Mother, just being like every episode's like a microcosm. It has like 3 different sub-episodes within it, right?
It's not like a whole storyline in general trying to get to a certain point.
Yet it gives you a lot in 12 episodes.
It does.
It gives you a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's because like every episode has like 3 parts sometimes, right? Mm-hmm. So if we're describing the episode about Fafnir and Lukua, that's only the first like third. We still have like peppered in pieces of Kana and Toru and Kobayashi somewhere else in there.
It's because they're just kind of thrown in there too.
Almost
just
salted,
randomly.
not even peppered.
What's the difference?
You like a little more salt than you do pepper?
Well, no, it's just like like salted smaller, like compared to like its grains than peppered.
I still don't understand.
I don't know. It's quick parts, all around the episodes.
Oh, okay.
Of like a lot of different stories. So they put in a lot just in one episode. Like you're saying, like when was the last time we talked about that an episode had 3 acts to it?
Never.
Yeah,
Exactly.
they always do at least 2 or 3. Because then it even has like those little slideshows in between where they just kind of show an emoji or something.
Mm-hmm.
And then it switches a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So it's cool because then they'll have like their scenes throughout the episode.
And you'll be like episode 9 in there and you'll already have so much to
go off.
go off. Yeah.
Yeah, because they even circle back on certain narratives, even though like they are like microcosm episodes. So like we have that whole episode describing how Toru and Elma met, right? But then like 3 episodes later, they circle back about, we get a whole Elma episode where the first third's Elma bitching to Kobayashi and Takia, being like, we live in we're basically slaves. We work a ridiculous amount of overtime. And Kobayashi, being such like a workaholic, has like accepted that she works for a shitty company that's going to force her to do all this overtime. And Elma essentially tries writing a whole report and lobbying to the owner of the company that they need better working conditions, and tries to make a union.
Improvement proposals.
Right, and she's trying to unionize. And like the thing about Japan, when it comes to workers' rights, like we bitch how hard and terrible like workers' rights are getting in the United States. Japan is worse so, and has always been worse so. Like there is no chance to unionize. There's no workers' rights. There's that like companies are prone to take advantage of their employees just because like it's a hard-working culture,
and they want to make you think that they're not.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And when you unionize, you'll have your rights as a worker. You know, like fuck. Why are we working 5 days out of the week for people that have 9 to 5s? You know what I'm saying? It's crazy.
Honestly, I think it's crazy how like the better jobs have gotten, it feels like the less busy I am during the day and more flexible my schedule gets. It feels like the shittier the job, the more micromanaged you are, the more they're hyper worried about you getting a certain number of hours in. Like, God, I just hate capitalism so fucking much.
Yeah.
Every time I think about it.
I hope it would die.
Anyways, so that's like the first part of the Selma episode.
I do want to make a point here. In that part... Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, come on. I didn't say anything. But I just had a question for, I guess, you guys also. The fairy that showed up?
Oh, there's a
was that
Kana
really
episode about a
about?
fairy. I have no idea.
Okay,
So-
was that just one of those random things again?
Right, so
Because
it's
it was the same episode with the manga.
Right. So
That's why.
there's a 4-minute subplot about Kana and
Ghost hunting.
and what's her name? The girl.
Seikoa. But
Saikawa,
they're with the
where they're
classmates.
where they're with the little boy classmates in elementary school, and they hear that like the music room's haunted or something, and they're like, ooh, and
They're
then
supposed to be making a ghost newspaper article
right,
for their school.
and Kana basically being a magical creature is like, I'll go check it out. And it's just a fairy that was living inside of like.
But she didn't let anyone know. Like everyone heard a window banging, and they
'Cause-
went to go explore a quote unquote ghost.
Kana's smart enough to know that none of the humans are supposed to know about magic.
Yeah.
And it's never really explained why. Because Saikawa never learns about dragons. Like, Kobayashi's the only human. Well, and Takia. Takia knows about dragons, too.
Does he?
Yeah.
I never really knew if he did or didn't.
He even knows about the magical portion. Because
How do you know all this? I don't remember this.
I don't know. But, like, when he's talking to...
Because when they made... What's his name? The guy dragon?
Mm-hmm, Fafnir?
Yes, Fafnir. When they made Fafnir live with him, they didn't introduce him as a dragon or anything.
I think
Literally,
they did.
Kobayashi was just like, hey, do you mind if my friend Fafnir just sleeps with you?
Yeah, I think he doesn't know.
I don't-
because
He
that's right.
does it?
I don't
No.
think
I thought he knew
does.
Shota was magic, too. Because he asked Shota for advice at one time. The little boy, like...
Maybe Shota, but he's like an earthly wizard, not like an otherworldly dragon.
Yeah, I think Shota and Fafnir know about each other, but the other guy doesn't know about them.
I didn't know that. I always thought Takia knew.
don't think
I don't
he
know.
does.
That's really different. But anyways, what were we describing? What you had a point.
We were describing...
I was describing the Elma
fairy.
episode.
That was
Oh,
my
and the
question,
fairy.
The fairy.
So Kana just finds this fairy inside of the music room, and he's just like this gross looking little. Doesn't he like fart on her or something? Like,
Does he fart on? I don't think so.
I remember thinking like, I don't know. I
He
just
might have, but I don't think he
I
did.
remember there being like a gag somewhere about him, but like he just like comes and goes. He's like, "Oh, don't tell anybody about me," and just like leaves.
Yeah, that was all it was. That's why I don't know if there was more to it or...
No, that was
She just found him and she kind of hid him and then took him home, and then Ilulu made a portal for him to go back to his world.
Uh-huh.
And
And
that
that was
was
it.
the entire context that we had of the fairy. He looked like the Squidward when he got hit too many times and turned handsome.
Yeah.
Yeah. He just looked like a mini
Little
blonde, handsome Squidward.
Squidward.
Squidward fairy.
But so Elma, Alma has this whole episode, right?
Oh, yes, I did have a point.
Okay. Tell me.
I wanted to tell you that episode with Elma really resonates a lot with Gretsuko.
Okay.
Because, like, in an office setting and stuff like that, it's nice. It's nice to see all those aspects in Miss Kobayashi.
Like their entire life perspective, sort of?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because even in season 1, we didn't even touch a lot about Miss Kobayashi's relations in the
workplace.
In the workplace.
Oh, because like through Elma's perspective, like Kobayashi's kind of like a badass in the office. Like Kobayashi,
she's the head.
Like trained Elma, and Kobayashi's the best coder, which is why she works the most hours. Kobayashi like has even been taking Takiya's work on the side because she's just like the most efficient person in the office. So yeah. I think that's different because even though the main narrative in Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid is just about Toru and Kobayashi, it's kind of like how like the B relationships like contribute to the main relationship. Mm-hmm. Because again, me and Karen were making fun of that Elma and Toru essentially act like an old toxic couple that are still like have to be friends for whatever reason.
Like that, my baby dad is here.
Yeah. Oh, that bitch is here. I have to be friends with her today. So, we, like, Elma just approaches Toru one day and is just like, meet me out here. Like, she shows up to the apartment, I think. And they kind of just meet out in a field, and Elma gets Fafnir too, and Kobayashi, they meet out in a field and they spar. They start having this super destructive battle that reminds me of, like, the Dragon Ball Super Battle of the Gods movie. I don't know if you watched that one. Like, when the destruction god Beerus is, like, punching Goku into, like, Earth's mantle and stuff like that. That's how this fight felt. Mm-hmm. Like, and they fight in different styles, too, which is interesting to see, because Toru is just, like, a technically stronger dragon. Like, she's just bigger blast, bigger fire, bigger, like, raw magic, right? So, Toru, when she's just doing these energy blasts, like, her claws and her teeth and her face just like darken and turn black, and she just does these
big
giant
Godzilla shit.
Yeah, Godzilla shit, like Godzilla blast. But then when they're fighting in human form, Elma has a trident, like a staff almost, that she's casting spells with and deflecting spells, and like she's knocking Toru around by catching her like unexpected. Like Elma's a much more like technical fighter, but Toru's like just raw strength.
I really like the levels to their fight also, like physical levels, because initially when they start this big fight, she just like, I don't know, just strikes lightning down to the core of the earth, and they're initially fighting like at the core of the earth where there's just magma and everything. Then she gets blown out by Toru to the sea, and then you just see a whale, and then she just shoots back up like in her mermaid form almost, and just goes right back.
And exactly how you put it is exactly the way I saw it, because the animation's so crazy and so quick, and you have a dragon, and you're put into this fantastical theme of the anime so quickly. You're like, holy shit, they're dragons, they can survive in the magma. Oh shit, now they're out in the oceans, because right now they were outside of the magma, and just
they're
animated.
Like indestructible in themselves.
And then just having all that shit, besides all the blast and the attacks, is fucking crazy.
The amount of Sakuga is crazy. Sakuga is like this term when it comes to Japanese animation that shows like individual artist expression, and it's a lot of times with anime like this, it comes out in the forms of like the customization of like freeform animation, like the blasts and stuff like that. So if I'm animating just energy blasts in the light novel, it's just like she charges hyper beam and it blasts. You know what I mean? Like it leaves a lot of room for interpretation. If you're doing a high quality anime, you can like do your own blast, your own lines, your own colors, and like the amount of detail that they're able to put in just by letting the artist freeform animate like some of this stuff, it looks great on screen. It's amazing.
Mm-hmm. They don't get enough credit.
They don't get enough credit, exactly, because there's I don't even know who the TikToker is, but I was getting a few of these TikToks for a while that was like this guy just having the same gag, which was called like, what if animators had more time, part 6, part 8. And it's just different examples of just like giant Sakuga expressions in anime. So it'll be like the Fate series in one of the first big fights, how just like giant, big, expressive energy blasts and stuff like that. And this is one of those examples. Like, you give some animators some time, some love and like don't let them blow up your entire anime studio, they can produce something really good.
It's because it's what they like to do. Obviously, if you just give
Just
them,
pay
like, their
them right
space,
and don't
you
make them
pay
work like 80 hours a week.
They're gonna do amazing.
And that's one of the things we talk about with anime a lot, because anime makes millions of dollars. But the way these animes are produced, they have them on these very skinny budgets and these very tight timelines.
Like an anime sweatshop.
Right! And it's just like, where's all... like, it does not compute where that money goes. Like, I just literally cannot understand how this works.
When are people gonna start boycotting animes?
They don't know how to boycott...
Not here in Between Nerds, guys. We're gonna keep watching anime for you.
They don't know how to boycott in Japan. They just know how to blow up their employers.
Yeah, they're like, I'm not working hard enough.
That was dark.
But that's why it happened.
Yeah.
Like, this is what I mean. Like, especially Kyoto
I'd rather
Animation.
you die than work too hard.
Just die right now.
Anyways, so Elma,
I have
like,
another question.
yes,
What is a talisman? Talisman?
talisman for what?
That's what
It's
What's
like
his name?
it's a
Shota
Shota?
was making a gift for his father for Father's Day.
It's a talisman.
Oh,
Like a collar with a rock.
it's like a
something
charm.
That. Yeah.
It's like a
Like the Dracula one.
Okay.
but
You can call that a talisman. Talisman.
Talisman.
but like the one he was making was for like it's like a charm. Like it has like a curse or a spell on it.
Why
like
was he making that for his father?
Because he's a wizard. I don't know.
So he'll just use it for whatever, whenever? Sort of?
I guess so. It's like a charm, like you said.
Honestly, I think there's a mistranslation in the dub because I remember when we watched it in the sub, the subtitles didn't make sense to me at the time. But there's some kind of like mistranslation about how his kanji is, where like he tries making a talisman or a charm that says like Happy Father's Day, but then Luca reads it and it says like Happy Tits Day or something like that.
But it does that for the sub and the dub.
Did it do that in the dub? I don't remember.
She just in the own world maybe didn't know what it meant. Because she
so apparently it's like
the,
tight kanji, like
yes.
It could be Father's Day or Tits Day. So Luca is just
she
like
doesn't know what fathers means. You don't know what a father is.
No, I get it. Yeah.
Is that the thing? She has a daddy issue.
Probably Toru's main thing is she has daddy issues.
Well, but Lukua must have a daddy issue. She's after an 8-year-old.
Maybe that's why.
Oh,
Honestly, that makes a lot of
we
sense.
figured
It
it out.
doesn't make a lot of sense.
So what are we talking about?
yeah,
So
I
they're
remember-
fighting. So Elma and Toru are fighting. And Elma starts crying. And she's like, you fucking left me. I was receiving tribute from the humans. And you left without saying goodbye. You just wrote a note on the fucking wall. And you abandoned me. And I spent millennia looking for you. And you wanted nothing to do with me. And then I found you again. And you were really cold to me. And you were a different person.
you left.
And you had this new human bitch. I don't know who this bitch is. But I thought you loved me. It's just this whole like grievance from like an ex thing. Like fuck off. Like Toru's clearly moved on.
Toru's in love.
Elma's in love with Toru.
And everybody's in love with everybody
that's
here.
so sad.
I think the issue is Elma's in love with Toru.
Is in love with Toru and Toru's in love with Kobayashi.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Kobayashi wants to be friends with Elma.
Yeah.
It's a square.
Oh, it's a lesbian square. Wow.
Square. Triangle, right?
Well, no, there's more than 3 people involved. It's a square.
Well, it was...
A rectangle?
And Alulu's trying to fuck Kobayashi and...
Yeah. Lulu's just learning to be horny.
Anyways, so that's kind of the grievance. Like when we're making fun of the way Elma is with Toru, she's just like this really attached person that's clearly in love with Toru, but
she like loves someone that she can't have.
right, she wants her in her life. She's like, you're still my best friend. I still love you so much, but like I want you here. I want to be as close as I can to you, but that means I'm still at arm's length because you're in love with Kobayashi.
Oh.
It's a sad thing here.
What?
Makes sense.
What do you
On
mean?
Valentine's
What do you mean? So, they just come to this understanding. Like, basically, like, Fafnir, they're having this ginormous fight, and Kobayashi literally looks at Fafnir and is like, why am I here? And Fafnir's like, because you need to be the one to tell them when they can stop. Because if not, then they're just gonna fight until one of them's dead, they're both dead, or the world's destroyed.
But
And he
Kobayashi
dips out.
He just leaves!
Yeah.
He gives her, like,
He
one
was
protection
like, this
spell.
is a waste of my time.
Yeah, this has been going long enough. I'm out.
He's such a bitch.
But then they didn't kill each other, and she never told them to stop either.
No,
They
they just kind of
they tired each other out.
Yeah, they just kind of kiss and make up where they're like, we're
evenly matched.
Yeah, Elma just kind of accepts that like Toru's moved on a little bit and like is just lucky to be friends
Elma
again.
Wanted, her condition was if she wins that fight or that battle, then Toru has to go back to their homely world with her.
Right.
And Toru was like, no, like, why does it matter to you? I've made my own life over here.
Yeah, exactly. And so that's like the second episode with Elma. I think we get one more by the end. But one of the things I do want to talk about is I like that the author of the light novel is in love with his characters. Because there's certain episodes where it feels like he likes dressing up his characters, which I think is cool. Because there's like a sub-episode where we're talking about there's like a bunch of different clips, different little sitcom skits within certain episodes. There's like one where Toru becomes a like streetwalker, a security guard. She's like she's the neighborhood patrol, the neighborhood watch kind of.
A little armband that said patrol.
The Nazi armband.
So
yes.
but it's like the one from
oh, it's so cute.
From The Melancholy of Haruhi Suzumiya, where she got a but like the outfit I'm talking about, like so the first outfit change we saw for Toru this season was her in the Maid Cafe uniform when she's working in the kitchen, which is like a shorter skirt, but she's got a pan, she's got a little bib on her head.
She's going up.
Right? So then like the second big like outfit we get from Toru this season is her in her streetwalker uniform, which is the armband we're talking about, but she has like this like short pink dress with like a little tie.
Oh, it looked crazy. She has no tail.
No tail.
We've
Crazy.
never seen Toru like this before. Like, she's changed maid outfits and stuff, saying, or added things, or, you know, little differences.
And then
but we've never seen her in regular human clothing.
But it still looks dumb because she's got a little tie on.
Yeah,
and like
she's like in this long sleeve.
And she's still wearing like maid gloves, kind of, and
she's a maid. And it's funny because in the background too, Miss Kobayashi is like, oh wow, like Toru has totally like settled herself down with the humans. She not only does she's a maid, she has a job. People in the market know her. People in the market rely on her. People in the market count on her for a lot of different things. She's so much
more popular than Kobayashi.
Yeah, and Kobayashi's like, oh wow, it's like, look.
Because I think the context for this episode is literally like, it's Toru telling Kobayashi she has somewhere to be, and Kobayashi's just being like, where are you going? She's like, oh, I told the neighborhood watch I do my shift today, so I gotta go.
It's like a house husband situation. It's like, oh yeah, your husband's the shit. He talks with the ladies at the market, like everybody knows the mafioso.
Yeah,
that is a house husband.
Except they're lesbians. They're in a lesbian relationship.
There was this cute quote that I thought was so cool, and I think it was in the very beginning when when Toru first got her job at the Maid Cafe. She was like, "Oh, how cute! You're like a housewife that wants to get her job just for fun." And he's like, "Oh."
That's evil.
It is evil. It is so funny.
Yeah, because she comes in dressed as a maid, which she already is. It's like, oh, you brought your own uniform or something like that.
Kobayashi was trying to shit on, like, not shit on service workers, but trying to say that service working is a lot more difficult than one thinks initially. And she's like, oh, you're gonna hate it. This is gonna happen. That is gonna happen. And then she just came back, like, super excited. It was cool.
I agree.
Yeah, and we did describe the part that she puts an actual curse in her omelets so they can taste better.
Right.
Crazy.
So, okay, so we're talking about the Neighborhood Watch. Oh, there's another funny skit with the Neighborhood Watch bit. So, there's some thugs that are trying to, like, bully Toru while on her watch.
It's funny because they don't even look like thugs.
We have men in this episode.
But they're just dumbasses.
Yeah, they're just dumbasses.
They're just dumbass extras.
Perfect.
So,
great portrayed.
They're just, like, shooting craps on the street in the middle of, like, some nice Japanese neighborhood. And Toru's just like, hey, hoodlums, get out of here.
You can't be... What is the you can't be loitering
here. Yeah, you can't be loitering here.
The accusations and shit like that. I mean, the way the Toru is being placed here, so she's being partnered with an other neighborhood watch who's obviously just a house mom. She's like, oh, nothing happens around here. It's like, we'll be okay. And then she's like, are you sure? It's like, you don't look like you can fight. It's like, I look like I can fight.
Toru was like, you're going to hold me back.
Yeah, and then there's this regular street like in this nice neighborhood, and then like some dumbass kids are playing something.
It looked like they were playing craps almost. Yeah.
And then Tori's like, we should say something to them. And then the other lady's like, oh fuck, there's some hoodlums here. And she's like, hey, you're just blocking the street. Get the fuck out of here. What did you say? And tries to assault Toru.
And she does this pinky flip.
Oh, I love him. It
was so cute. She just flicks her pinky.
And the man, like, the subtext is he basically shit himself.
Like,
yeah.
He's just like, oh, my stomach, oh,
she
no.
She just touched him with his pinky.
And, like, even the other, like, his friends are like, oh, no, bro. Like, come on, what happened? The friends even, like, go up to Toru and they're like, why'd you have to do that? His stomach's been hurting all day. He was shitting himself this morning. You didn't have to do that. So they just, like, take him over the shoulder and just run away. So then the next day, they show up with, like, an even bigger guy who was, like, part of the
villain
gang.
arc with this man.
But the funniest part about this is that they call their squad dragons.
Yeah. And she's
an actual fucking dragon. Like,
so to her, it's just like, oh, that's cute.
And the strongest guy there, which they go cry to, is like, hey, man, some woman fucking beat me up in the street. Can you go beat her up? He's like, yeah, I'll beat her up. And, like, his name is like, I'm the Dragon of Destruction. And Toru just looks at him like, oh, really?
And just same thing, just, like, finger flicks him. He's like, oh!
And she's having, like,
he flicks him into the sky, like, 30 times.
And she just keeps, like, fist pumping into the air, but
while
it's because
talking to the gang.
While talking to other people
and just like juggling him like with her punches.
That's all that's going on. He's just going in circles and flipping around in the air while she's punching him.
So and he gets so embarrassed he goes and trains in the woods,
like punching a tree.
Oh, this is how I'm gonna beat her up next time I see her. He's just punching some inanimate tree, and then an actual bear shows up. He's like, "Come on, bear, I'm gonna beat you up, and I'm gonna be ready to fight that girl." And it's an actual bear that like beats the shit out of him.
Gets his ass beat again.
And if you're first time watching this and you have fucking any context of what anime is, you're like, no way he's gonna beat that bear.
Absolutely,
it's like,
he did not.
This is gonna happen. It's like, no way he's gonna like suplex this bear and everybody's gonna be, whoa, and then he's gonna go back to Toru. No, that doesn't happen.
It's so fucking funny. It's so funny.
The fucking bear just flips him upside down.
Honestly, that's not the first time we see that bear even. Because there's an episode where Toru is busy with something with the neighborhood watch or the market or something, and it's summertime, or like it's a Saturday, it's a Sunday.
She can't watch over Kana or something.
She can't watch the kids, right? So it's Kana, Shoto, and Saikawa.
Oh, no.
And they're like, we want to go camping, we want to go fishing. So they walk up to Elma, and it's Elma's one day off, and they hand Elma a note from Toru, and Elma reads the note out loud. It's like, "Dear Elma, I'm busy today with the local market. I hope I can trust you to not fuck up and watch these children today."
But I wouldn't surprise if you wouldn't want to do this.
Yeah, not even if you didn't want to do this. It would not surprise me if you disappointed me. Signed,
because you're
Toru.
trash.
Because you're garbage. Signed, Toru.
But Elma's just like on this mission to almost impress her too.
Right, she's trying to get her ex back.
The only reason
she's trying to impress Toru.
Yeah. She's like, I can do this.
I'm gonna fucking show her.
And then she lost them halfway through her
I love the beginning of this episode because it also shows Alma scheduling her day off. It's like, ooh, I'm gonna get out early enough to go to the bakery and get those sweets that I like.
The limited edition sweets, like.
It's like when I get out of work, it's already too late and they're already all gone. It's like, so she gets home and she sets up her whole table with the sweets and she's about to start, and then boom, here comes Kana. Yeah, and she's like,
mini
ooh,
squad.
I'm gonna show Toru I can do this.
So, yeah. So she does it though, and they go fishing, and
it was cute. She taught them how to fish.
Well, it's because Elma can talk to fish because she's like a sea serpent.
Oh, is that why the fish got hooked?
Right. So like they're like Kana and Saikawa aren't catching any fish, and Elma's just like, oh, throw your line that way.
She's like, more towards the middle.
More towards the middle, because if I was a fish, that's where I would hide, and right away.
That's why she said
right away, they both get fish.
There was just like this really sad takeaway.
But the only reason Alma knew how to fish is because she was fished before. That show was crazy.
Well, not only can I took it as she can both talk to fish, but then she gets like that flashback of like that's how I was
Because
taught.
how should we know? Yeah, exactly.
Oh, we're fishing? I was fished once.
and it's just like a flashback of like Greeks,
Vietnam, just like
Greeks like with fish lines in her mouth, like So,
but it's super cute. They catch some fish. And
they cook the fish on the side of the beach.
The little boys, what is his name?
Shoto.
Shoto?
Shoto.
Shoto or Shota?
Shota. It is Shota.
Shota. He's making curry and rice on the side.
I don't know how he did that.
They didn't even show like where he got anything.
They're frying their fish that they caught, and I mean, Elma being a water dragon, water goddess, the most like she's like, okay, I'm just gonna relax, and takes off her shoes,
Like
sits on a rock,
Kind of takes a nap.
yeah, and she's just like splashing right there on the river. And while she's doing that, I, as a parent, a lot can happen like in 2 seconds.
And the kids just walk away.
And Zaid doesn't even walk yet.
Nah, dude, it's crazy.
Goodness.
So the kids just walk into the forest because they just wanted a little adventure, right?
It was Shouta. He was like, "Oh, you
Like,
said something about."
I'll turn around and say, "Won't have pants anymore." I'm like, "What the fuck did you do with your pants, bro?"
So Shota luckily keeps his pants on, and they walk into and Elma like immediately starts freaking out, and she's like, "I know what to do. I'll use my clairvoyance, and I'll find them immediately." But Shota, being trained from blocking Saikawa's clairvoyance, he feels the clairvoyance spell like about to hit them, and he just blocks it.
But he doesn't know. He doesn't know who it's from. It's like
Right.
somebody's trying to look at us.
Like even Kana's like, "What was that?" And he's just looking around. He's like, "It was a clairvoyance spell that I just blocked. It's probably Saikawa.
Like,
She's always trying to like spy on me and figure out where I am."
And the Lord is sprinkled so nicely because the Lord expands itself without any explanation.
No, yeah. It's like peppered in. It's just like, oh, okay, so you can block spells. Like we're starting to get a sense of the power system without ever actually seeing the power system. So, and they get lost. They're just picking flowers. But Elma starts freaking out. She's like, holy fuck, Toro's gonna think I'm a fucking idiot. I just lost the fucking kids.
I am a fucking idiot. I lost the fucking kids.
She like immediately turns into her dragon form. Or no, she runs into the forest. Yeah, into her human form. And the same bear that fought those gang members tries like stepping up to her. He's just like, rah! And she's just like, get out of my face. And he's like, rah! Yeah, and just kind of like knocks him up and a bunny at like the same time. Or it was something smaller. It was like a...
I don't remember, bro, but
Was it a bunny? It's like a hare or a bunny or something. And like... Elma just done like dealing with him, just turns into a giant dragon, he flips in the air and he's super scared. And the bear even tries like... even like reaches the kid at some point, but he's just like so scared he just like lets them pass.
Then one of the random kids is like, "Oh, I don't think any of us told Elma where we were going. Let's go back." I think it was Kana, no?
Probably.
And then Elma freaks out and she's like, "Fuck it, I don't care who sees me," and goes like as her dragon form, she like outstatures the forest, and she goes above the forest, and she's like, "Where the fuck are these kids trying to look for them?" It's like, oh shit, we didn't tell her. We're gonna leave.
And it's again one of those where this would have been the second time that
She's spotted.
what's her name?
Saikawa
would have seen Elma in her dragon form, but you see Shota just like put her to sleep, just like sleep magic, and just one of them put Saikawa to sleep.
Alzheimer's magic.
I thought it was Shota, right? Where he just kind of puts his hand up and just like puts her to sleep. And that's where Kana starts screaming. She's like, Miss Elma, we're back over here.
So Shoto does know about dragons then?
Yes. No, yeah.
Okay.
He knows all about dragons. Because like even his dad's like a master wizard.
Yeah, I knew his dad was a master wizard.
Well, he's the one that
if,
summoned...
Yeah, but I didn't know if he knew that she was a dragon. Because I don't think they've had like interactions with her in her dragon form.
No, I think, definitely knows. He definitely knows.
He definitely knows, yeah. Sure. So, and like even the dad knows, because the episode where...
unionize.
Where Elma's bitching about like trying to unionize. He's a master wizard. He's like, hey, Miss Enchantress of the Water, or Miss Dragon Elma, what should I call you? And she's just like, well, when I'm here, I'm your employee, so whatever you want to call me, but I know you know my secret. And not only that, near like the end of the anime, Kobayashi, after hearing all this backstory about Toru's ex Elma and like knowing her personally and knowing how the relationship was, hearing their falling out, and just wanting to know more about Toru, being like, I think I might love this person the way Elma loved Toru. And again, like what you two were trying to describe, like she's unsure on her real feelings, so she's like crowdsourcing her love for Toru. Mm-hmm. So to a certain point where she wants to learn more, so she goes to her boss to summon Toru's dad, the King of Demise, which I don't. It's not entirely clear to me how Shota's dad and Toru's dad know each other. But whatever the context, this is essentially where we get an exposition dump from Toru's dad. Because Shota's dad, through whatever means, like, was able to reach out to Toru's dad, the King of Demise, bring him to the human world to explain Toru's childhood to Kobayashi. So, this is the famous episode in season 2 where we finally get animated baby Toru, where she's just like this tiny little adorable dragon with these big blank eyes.
Pokemon like.
Yeah, she looks like a fucking Pokemon. Just like imagine
baby dragon tails.
Grogu but Toru.
That's right.
That's literally her.
That's basically what this episode is, and it's basically like explaining where the Chaos faction and the Peace faction and the Observation faction came from, because of originally all dragons were part of the same faction that were fighting against the gods. Because, as the King of Demise explains it, they were wanted to be free of a world where people could decide for themselves what they wanted. Because the thing about a dragon is they're just all about choosing your own path, which is kind of the story of Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid, right? So, Toru grows up in this super chaotic time after the split between the Chaos and the Peace factions, which causes, like the Chaos faction is clearly trying to break away from the gods. The Peace faction just wants all races to live amongst each other. But what that means is that they're under the thumb of the gods. Like, they don't have free will, which is the opposite of what the Chaos faction wants. So Toru growing up and seeing like humans in her own world, I guess, I don't know. That's never really explained either. Like, they show that there are humans in their world and that they try like praising either the gods or the dragons, and they can summon dragons, but that the gods are also gaining like power from the praise of the humans in Toru's world.
And yeah, it's weird because it's almost like a on top of each other dimension almost.
Right, exactly. Mm-hmm. And it again, it's like medieval Europe almost, and it's super fucking confusing. But basically, the moral of the story is it explains the pretext for episode 1 of season 1 of Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid, which is where Miss Kobayashi gets drunk after work, stumbles into a forest, and finds Toru, the giant dragon, with a giant sword in her back. And Miss Kobayashi, all drunk, just pulls the sword out.
That's all we knew so far about Toru's quote-unquote history.
We knew nothing about like the lead up to even that moment. And basically what happened is Toru grew up as the daughter of the King of Demise, realizing that all she wanted in life was to be free of the responsibilities of being a dragon. She just wanted to choose her own life. Because she's having flashbacks of, like, meeting with Fafnir, and Fafnir's like, why would you listen to your dad? Why would you listen to another person? The point of being a dragon is being your own person and being your own self. Like, you see me guarding all my treasure, like, that's because I chose to do that.
But it was cool because the dad gave her the freedom to explore whatever she wanted also.
Kind of.
Like, we get to view that also.
Because this is not the first time we see this. In all contexts with the dragon fantastical theme to it, it's just like a dad trying to keep up the family business.
Yeah, kind of. Like, he was... You even hear... the story's told in 2 parts. Like, one through the King of Demise, one through Toru. And they're telling both sides of the same story, right? So you even hear Toru explaining at a certain point, I didn't know if my dad really wanted me to be the heir to the throne of the Chaos faction. It's just I was the strongest Chaos dragon besides him because he's my dad. So you hear her speaking to Lukua, and Lukua is basically a god, like a super strong, like, passive dragon, just being like, why would you ever listen to your dad? Like, you're strong enough that you can choose your own path in whatever you do.
And her dragon form is crazy too, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. It's like a giant rainbow sky serpent thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then Toru's dad is not even being like a super controlling parent either. Like, he is like, fuck, my daughter doesn't fuck with this shit.
Right.
She's gonna go do what she needs to do. She can't be the farmer. She can't be the daughter of a farmer to be a farmer again.
Exactly. That's exactly how the story goes, because him even explaining he's the main villain at the season finale of season 1, right? And that's because he sees his daughter in a gay relationship. Like, what in tarnation? I gotta beat up the girlfriend. Like,
What in tarnation?
Yeah, it's one of those, right?
Shout out to Texas. Our home state.
Between Nerds' home state. So, but basically what it turns into is him being like, but once I saw her in your relationship and how well you get along together and how well she's acclimating to the human world, I realized maybe this is what's best for her. Because she really, for the first time, chose what she wanted. Like it wasn't chosen for her. Mm-hmm. And so Kobayashi, like, internalizes that and is still kind of confused. So she goes home and, like, Toru's like, hey, you're home late from work. What happened? And she's just like, can I talk to you? Can we sit down? Like, I want to ask you a few questions. It's really serious. Anytime anybody in my life has ever told me, like, we need to talk, I'm be like, no.
No, we don't.
No, we don't. Later. Like, if you can't tell me passively, we don't got to talk about it. It's never that serious. But anyways, they have their couples therapy alone on the balcony in the middle of the night.
And it was so emotional, too.
It was good.
Yeah.
It was good. Yeah. It's good novella shit, bro.
Yeah, that's what it is. That's what it is. Because, like, it's this dorky love story, like every other episode. But then, like, the end of episode 11, it's like, oh, yeah, remember? It's actually about, like, this relationship between these two girls.
But then it's so good, and it makes me so mad at the same time. Because I remember even the first time that Drew and I were watching this, it was like, oh my god, Kobayashi is about to tell her that she loves her back. Like, we're just waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting.
Welcome to the
anime.
It was so frustrating.
Welcome to anime. And here again, we see, like you were describing, Kobayashi's getting the version from Toru's dad. Kobayashi goes to Toru and asks her, "Is like, hey, what do you want?" It's like, I just want to be your maid. Like, and I just want to hang out with you.
I love you. Was it this?
I love you, Miss Kobayashi. Yeah.
Well, she says it like passively right here.
Mm-hmm.
But like she really confesses her love like halfway through the next episode. Because right here too is when the dad's describing, he's like, yeah, I don't know why the fuck she's tried to single-handedly fight all the gods and she got stabbed in the back and then she had to use all her energy to transport herself to this world. And when Kobayashi's asking Toru about it, Toru's like, because I was told my whole life as a dragon that I needed to act a certain way, I needed to have a certain set of goals as part of the Chaos faction, and I didn't want any of that. I wanted to make my own life, and the only way I saw my way out of that is to defeat the gods and like to get anonymity back, which is like kind of the goal of the Chaos faction, to destroy the gods so that people can get their free will back.
And again, it's about not only on Miss Kobayashi's part, but in Toru, it's like this sexual awakening to the relation to Miss Kobayashi. It's crazy. He's rebelling. It's going away from the trail, from the path that your family wanted for you.
I did think it was corny when she said it though, because it's like I didn't know what I wanted out of life, and then I met you, and I realized I just wanted to be a maid forever.
I just want to simp on you the whole time.
But she said maid, like I just realized that being a maid was all I wanted out of life, and I was like,
But even the first episode when she got her little cafe job as like the maid cafe
she
girl.
didn't like it.
She was like, you know what, guys? I'm going to quit because I only want to be Miss Kobayashi's maid. So, I quit. Bye.
Exactly, dear. Only a maid for Kobayashi. Only a simp for Kobayashi.
If only.
Yeah,
I wish I had a mermaid.
No. No. So then episode 12 is the episode that really makes me mad for that reason, right? So, they go to a fireworks festival. The thing about rom-com-y animes and fireworks festivals is that's where the confession of love happens. Yes. That's where it happened in Domestic Girlfriends, that happened in Rent-A-Girlfriend, that happens in literally any... B-Stars. Anything semi-romantic has to happen at a fireworks festival, Your name. So, they all go shopping for kimonos, right? Kobayashi doesn't like to dress feminine. She doesn't want a kimono. But even Toru's like showing her different styles, being like, hey, which one do you want to see on me? Is how she put it. And Kobayashi's just being like, oh, this is an annoying question. Just like, eeny, meeny, miny, moe the bitch. And it was like, that one. And Toru's upset about it. And she's like, oh, I want to know which one you'd rather see on me. Like, I want to know which one you think I'd look cuter in. Like, which one would you rather me, like, be in?
Yeah, it's like when your girlfriend asks you, it's like, oh, do I look good in this? It's like, yeah, whatever. Sure. Like, no, dumbass. It's like...
Okay, well
say
then get
something.
it.
Yeah.
So we get like other parts of the all the relationships here. So Lulu meets up with like that 16-year-old she works with. Kana meets up with Saikawa. Lukawa's there with Shota. Showing up later in the night is Fafnir and Takia. Mm-hmm. But at a certain point, so this is one of the only like continuous episodes where a character's in the same mind frame from the episode before. So Kobayashi's still in this mind frame from episode 11, where she's like, what does Toru really want? Why is she here living with me? Why is she staying here for in prolonged term? Why are we in a relationship?
Why did she choose me?
Yeah, why did she choose me? She's getting... All of a sudden, she gets really insecure, being like, does this dragon that says she's always trying to fuck me actually love me? Like,
and then she just realized how great of a person she actually is.
Yeah, how much she likes Toru. She loves Toru. But she still doesn't want to admit it, which is, I guess, what you guys are talking about us not having a real sexual awakening yet, right? She still hasn't, like, admitted to herself that she does want this serious relationship with Toru. So then, Kobayashi grabs Toru by the sleeve and is like, hey, can we take a walk? I want to talk to you. Which, again, like, if you want to take me aside, talk to me, no. But but Toru she loves her so much, she'll be like, oh yeah, I'd love to spend time alone with you. Let's go. And this is where Kobayashi's again reiterating, like, I've heard your side of the story, I heard your dad's side of the story, and I'm still wondering, like, why you're still here with me. Like, why are you still here on Earth? And Toru just, like, looks at her, smiles, and is like, because I love you, Miss Kobayashi.
Because you're cool, stupid.
But she actually just says it flat out. She's like, Miss Kobayashi, I love you so much.
Yeah, and she means it. And
it's one of the first times that we actually just hear her just flat out say it. Mm-hmm. Isn't it?
Yeah, because normally it's just her just, like, trying to grope her or get her drunk. Yeah. And you think, like, Kobayashi's going to say it back for a second. And you hear Toru being like, oh, what'd you want to talk about? Why'd you pull me to the side? And Miss Kobayashi just being like, oh, never mind. I'm like, what a, like, cop-out.
Such a disappointment.
What a cop-out. Like, what a pussy.
Like, we've been anticipating the entire 2 seasons just for Miss Kobayashi to give her some sort of just a little something. Not even, you don't even have to say I love you, but just something. We never, ever get it.
And so that's what leads us to the final skit, the season finale of the last episode, which is they go see the cherry blossoms fall, which they call it like the falling of a god or something like that. And even Kana showing up to the field of cherry blossom bushes being like, what god is this? Why is he falling? And it's just like, oh, it's like a metaphor, but it's not a metaphor. But like the cherry blossoms are also described as a god by the dragons, but it's not a god because it's literal cherry blossoms. And they have like a picnic, right? Like it's everybody. Even all the B characters, all the C characters. It's Shota, it's Lukawa, it's Fafnir, it's Takia, it's all of them. And you're right, like the scenery here, the animation, even in the background's crazy. Because like they really take the time to animate like the cherry blossoms falling in this huge field. And they're just doing like field games. Like Elma paints her belly and like does like this goofy dance because she's like, yeah, I heard people perform for attention in these cherry blossom ceremonies or something like that. Or they have like an arm wrestling competition between like all the dragons. So it's Kana not able to beat Lukawa in an arm wrestling match. But the thing is, the actual season finale is Toru had invited everybody there because she was going to trick Miss Kobayashi into marrying her in a staged wedding. So
everyone I need is here.
Everyone, yeah. So it's one of those where like, oh, well, she essentially gave me a confession of love at the fireworks festival. So she just like turns her scales into a wedding dress, puts Kobayashi into a wedding dress, and all of a sudden it's like this big inside joke. It's like, ha, I tricked you into marrying me today, and now we're gonna get married in front of all of our friends. And
Kobayashi's like, nah, fuck it.
Well, she actively screams and runs away. So the outgoing title sequence for the last episode is Kobayashi running away in a wedding dress while Toru chases after her. And that's the end of season 2 of Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid.
Will we see a season 3 with more to this fucking story? I hope so.
We better.
I'm pretty sure.
We need Kobayashi to admit her love.
I'm pretty sure we're going to get a season 3. Like, there's so much source material, which is what I was saying, between the 11 main volumes and the 4 side stories. Like, all the episodes are, like, shoved in with, like, sub-stories anyways. They can steal from all the subsequent light novels to the point that, like, they have plenty of material. And this made them... This season is fairly new. Like, this ended September 2021. Mm-hmm. Like, they have more than enough source material to come out with something new next year. So, I don't know. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, and I hope you enjoyed your anime watching week, nerds. This has been episode 83, 82?
82. Do you want to do a brief little nerd down?
Yeah, nerd down.
Nerd down.
Nerd down.
Nerd down.
Nerd down.
Welcome to the Nerd Down, where the nerds get down. At the beginning of the end of this episode, I do want to re-go over our plugs. Please visit TCG Battleground over at the Zaraplex over on Zaragoza Drive. Zaragoza. And please use hashtag Nerds for Black Leadership in an original tweet, YouTube comment, or Instagram post.
YouTube comment. Yeah, you said YouTube comment.
Yeah, I said them out of order, yeah. Uh-huh. But to be entered into our February giveaway, every like and retweet will help us donate to El Paso Young Black Leaders. And what else am I missing?
You do not own anything that is in this audio, so please do not make false copyright claims.
Right, like
YouTube.
I don't know if anybody follows us on Twitter that actually listens, but we got a strike on YouTube for absolutely no reason.
Someone got Drew really upset this week.
Yeah. Last week.
But
yeah, I was fucking pissed. Like, I was like, that... Because the thing that doesn't make sense about YouTube is...
They're so big. They could at least take a look.
Right. Like, anybody can make a copyright claim, and they don't review copyright claims. They don't review it until there's a counterclaim. So, some random IT company out of Germany can make a copyright claim on a video that's just of our audio and images that we own. Say that's copyrighted content. YouTube's immediate response, like automatically, without review, is to take the video down and say, and like agree with the accusing party that we are like using their intellectual property without the permission to do so. And it's not until we submit a counterclaim that it turns into an official legal agreement that we are making a stance against the copyright claim, which doesn't make sense. And then it's under review for 15 days.
You're guilty until found innocent.
For real.
Just like
it doesn't even make sense. And to Aldo's point, like, YouTube is owned by Google.
Yeah.
Like, you
have the money.
You mean to tell me that Alphabet doesn't have the money to like invest in people to review copyright claims? That literally doesn't make sense. Like, literally doesn't make sense. One of the most profitable companies in the world doesn't have the liquidity to have people to review this content.
Let's just take this video down. Fuck you, bro.
Stupid. It's so stupid.
But we like you, YouTube, and
no,
please leave our videos up.
All future videos, because the last one's down.
Yeah, because the last one's down until further notice. But please keep this one in, because we do own all their music and stuff, and you know the animes that we discuss, they are owned by their respective companies.
It is a weekday, so we want to keep.
You guys always mention too. It's not like
we didn't. It's in context. It's like we're talking about something that we like.
It literally doesn't make sense to me. But this episode is being recorded on a weekday, so we do want to keep this nerd down tight and concise. So I think what we did want to talk about is where
Bad Bunny was great.
Ooh, we did go to Bad Bunny.
We saw Bad Bunny here in El Paso, Texas.
I thought Bad Bunny was really cool. I think it's funny how me and Aldo had like different. We had the same experience, but like different from like you and Vianney, Karen, because like you kept looking at me like, why aren't you freaking out? Like, why aren't you screaming? Why aren't you excited? Which like me, it's Bad Bunny. Like, I'm not gonna be like screaming my lungs out for Bad Bunny.
You're not fangirl about it.
But it's not even like that. Like, I was trying to like take in the experience of the show, right? Like, I'm trying to watch the visuals, the dancers. I'm trying to watch the platform rise. I'm trying to watch the smoke, the fire. I'm trying to watch the screens and see what visuals they have there. Like, I'm trying to trip out into the experience. Girls
are just like
you're just like screaming. It's just like, I need to dance.
I don't know how many times I was like, I love you, Bad Bunny. I know he will hear me, but
I need to scream. I need to dance. Like, I need to... Like, it's such different experiences, and you kept looking at me and being like, are you having a good time? Are you having a good time?
Okay, but imagine freaking out over, like, one of the biggest artists in the world, and then you just look over at your boyfriend, and he's just staring into nothing.
Don't get me wrong.
Quiet.
I wasn't losing my shit either. Like, I wasn't like, oh my god, I'm seeing Bad Bunny.
But imagine you were losing your shit, and then V was just standing there.
Oh, shit.
Like, besides what everyone was feeling, like, I feel like you could understand or kind of see, okay, like, my girl's freaking out, and then she just turns around and I'm not doing anything. Like, you're enjoying yourself internally, but how am I supposed to know you're enjoying yourself?
But imagine, like, Drew takes you to, like, an edgy conversion, and he's losing his shit on, like, this anime.
Drew took me to a Screamo band that I didn't know 2 months before him, and I was losing my shit anyways. So
well, that says a lot about you, bro.
Dance Gavin Dance isn't... Well, Screamo's not a genre, number one.
Oh my goodness.
Dance Gavin Dance isn't even that hardcore.
What?
Like, I love them, don't get me wrong. But, like,
It's the most Screamo that I had ever gotten.
But Screamo's not a genre. It's like this pop alternative rock, and then you're like, there's screamings in this entire genre, which isn't true.
They were screaming really loud in certain voices that I cannot mimic if I tried myself.
Yeah,
so,
Screamo. By default.
By default, yeah.
Y'all are ignorant.
If it's screaming and I can't do it, it's Screamo.
Y'all are ignorant.
But they were great. And I feel like I displayed that.
Like, if I took VNA to, like, a comic book convention and stuff like that, and...
Well,
she was just following me around and enjoying the time that she had with me, that would be okay with me. She doesn't have to freak out. She doesn't have to geek out.
I feel like my immediate example is like, so Bad Bunny was on for like an extended period of time, like 2.5, 3 hours, right?
Yeah.
Like, if I go see the most recent Marvel movie that's like 2.5, 3 hours long, even when we saw Spider-Man.
Oh, you made fun of them for crying.
Yeah, and like...
but I was crying too. I cried like a bunch of times.
But I cried more than you did. And like, I'm pointing out to you like different like, oh, that's something Tony Stark said to him. Oh, that's like I have more context than you do when it comes to this medium, right? So like I have a stronger emotional response.
But we have the same exposure to Bad Bunny.
But you like it in a different way than we do.
I guess. But I still get excited. He's taking me to Comic-Con and there's more pictures of me in Comic-Con.
Well, even in like a more like I don't know, like blatant aspect, like I listen to Bad Bunny in the context of like it's what I can easily like the most exposure I've had with Bad Bunny's music was when quarantine started in like 2020, right? Because it was just everybody at home for 2 or 3 weeks, just drinking an insane amount of White Claws and listening to Bad Bunny because he had just come out with an album the week before.
If you would have asked me to name any of his own songs, I wouldn't be able to.
That's what I'm saying. But it's not only that. What I was gonna say is like, I don't know Spanish, so like I recognize Bad Bunny songs by like the rhythm of the hook. You know what I mean. Like if you were to tell me to sing you a Bad Bunny song, I literally don't know what he's saying. I literally could not repeat to you what these songs are about, what is being said, because I don't even know Spanish like that.
And Karen's like, this song is beautiful.
Yeah, this song this was a beautiful song. I thought we were dancing to this song. What do you mean?
But I take him into consideration because I remember at one point there was one song that I heard the music to start playing, and I know he knew it. And I turned around to you like 4 times, and I was like, "It's your song! It's your song! You know this! You know!" Like I kept hitting him, like, "You know
honestly,
this!"
the subtext I'm trying to say is I was like insanely drunk at the same time. Like I was just trying to like swim in the sauce and just have like my own little journey. And you wanted me to be like.
I was just excited.
In person,
I didn't know how
dancing
saucy I was until we got out.
No, I knew it. Like,
I was in there, and I was like, "Am I here?" And then I'm like, "Yeah, I am here."
Yeah.
And then when I got out, I was like, "Oh fuck, I was just there."
And I think I also have this habit like that because most of the shows I've been to as an adult are like EDM shows where like you're meant to just like trip on it. You know what I mean? Like you're just supposed to go into that little hole and just like vibe out and rhythm with it.
And just use a lot of vibes.
And like the visuals, they'll have whole visuals on screens just meant to like trip you out and just let you sit in the sauce.
You're peaking on vibes.
Right, exactly. That's exactly what I'm trying to say. Which like is how I was going about the show, and I was having a great time doing that. And you kept looking at me like I was disappointing you by not losing my shit.
It's just like my knees are so bruised right now from hitting the chairs in front of me. Like,
knees were fucked up, man.
It was so exciting.
I was just dancing a little, and then I look over at Drew, and then you're dancing, but Drew's like...
I'm trying to dance on Drew, but there's like a 1.5 foot distance in between the end of the chairs that we're sitting at and the chairs in front of us.
Yeah.
So I'm just banging my knees and like the chairs in front of me, the chairs in front of me, the chairs in front of me. And I'm like, okay, this is how I know I was excited. Next morning, just bruised everywhere.
Did you guys notice the South plot with that little couple in front of us that it was so obvious that that kid took this girl to see Bad Bunny?
No,
and like he was kind of doing like the
no!
reach around, the reach over is like, yeah, it's like,
did he succeed?
It's like, yeah. Okay, when Bad Bunny was like, nobody's living here without without getting your sin perrear, you know, and like nobody's living here without perreando, and like I was telling Vianney, I'm like,
can you tell the audience what that is?
So nobody's living here without getting some ass like shaken onto them. You know what I'm saying? Like they're not living without dirty dancing, quote unquote. And me and V, I'm like, oh, I wish that would happen with a couple. And I'm looking at the couple, and I'm like, it's like a subplot to like this concert because he's like, trying to like do the thing. Is like, get a little bit closer, and he kind of got it, but he
was in front of us.
Yeah, he was right in front of us.
Imagine spending $800 and not getting danced on.
They look young. They look super young, and I bet they were in high school, and they were just like, ooh. And then the girl was about it, but he wasn't putting enough.
He was shy.
Moves onto it. Like he was working slow. He was working slow, but he was working, which
Good for him.
Which I appreciate. But yeah, it was awesome.
What is the turtle wins the race.
The whole concert itself was pretty good until I found out I lost my wallet.
Karen told me all week she couldn't wait to like drink on Cincinnati Street in El Paso, which is across the street from the venue. All week, like not even all week, like a month out. She's like, can't wait to go see Bad Bunny, and then we're gonna immediately go to Cincy because Karen used to work on Cincy.
It was kind of good that we didn't. Kinda. It seemed like we got super fucked up, and we got more fucked up. And it would have been...
That would have been okay, I guess.
But we were Ubering.
Like, wait, was that on Friday? Oh, yeah, that was on Friday. I thought it was on Saturday, my bad.
It could have been fun.
I did fuck
All my little friends are working there.
I did fuck up.
It's okay. We got our tacos then. But we were pretty drunk.
Yeah.
We were. I don't think we knew how much we were drunk.
Yeah. Safely drunk, guys. Safely drunk. Please don't drink and drive.
Yeah.
No,
Ubering. 100%.
But we do want to talk about one thing now today.
One thing. We'll talk about the end of Boba Fett next week, maybe.
Yes.
But we just want to catch y'all up on like our current thoughts on Peacemaker right now, because Karen's caught up on Peacemaker too, actually. And the thing about Peacemaker is that as like a comic book world film, even though it's DC and it's not Marvel, it's cool because like I have no context on Peacemaker. Like Peacemaker was never like a big comic book character, so it's cool that we now have this whole like sub world that like me and Karen can be on the same page on about a superhero. As opposed to me having way more context than Karen for one.
And shout out to John Cena for being easygoing, bro. Like, I can't tell you how many times I bring up this conversation, but I hate The Rock.
Yeah, me too.
You know?
Weren't you guys just hyping him up like yesterday?
No, I wasn't. No. That was CJ.
Were you like, oh, okay.
Well, it's because like The Rock takes himself too seriously, which is what's so annoying about The Rock. Every piece of media John Cena's been in outside of WWE is just John Cena making fun of John Cena.
Yeah, trying his best.
But it's just making fun of himself. Like, they're all comedy roles. Like, even when he was in that movie with
Amy Schumer.
Amy Schumer, yeah. Like, he was just shitting on himself and just being funny by, like, just picking fun of himself and, like, what a douche he looks like, and he's just some roided fucking white asshole. Like, and he's just always making fun.
He knows it.
Yeah, he knows it. And he's just always making fun of that character.
The Marine? Did you ever watch The Marine with John Cena? Good movie.
We watched that other movie. What was it?
Which one? With John Cena?
Yeah.
Vacation Friends? Did you guys watch Vacation Friends?
No, it was a superhero movie.
Oh, Suicide Squad.
Yeah, Suicide Squad.
So this is just a sequel to like Suicide Squad. But we're leading into the final episode of Peacemaker, right? and it's funny because it's about John Cena's character like defeating racism essentially, like in this episode.
The vigilante, so in the spectrum, yeah, it's so crazy.
I think that's everybody's favorite character because he's just like this skinny idiot that just like has multiple like murder charges that he's wanted for, just has knives hidden on him, and he's just down to throw grenades at random people.
And he hates racists.
And so scary.
And he hates bad people.
Yeah,
And he hates bad people because he's talking to John Cena throughout this whole series. He's like, dude, your dad is a fucking dick. And him knowing that, when he knows where his dad is, he confronts him. It's like, hey, stop being a dick to your son.
Or just stop being racist. Like, he just he confronts John Cena's
the white dragon
dad, the white dragon, like a fucking KKK like leader, confronts him in prison, being like just talking up black people and being like, isn't it cool how like black people can like lead us, and how Barack Obama was president, and like and just trying to like trigger like these white supremacists.
He's just like a troll.
The
like a real life troll.
The trolly dialogue here is crazy because he sits down at this table with fucking white nationalists, neo-Nazis. And he's like, hey guys, I thought you guys looked pretty tough here, so I want to be your friend. How about we get to know each other by saying what we love about the black culture contributing to America. Let me start. I love that without black people, there wouldn't be anything such as rock and roll, like this and that.
Or Elvis Presley and soul music.
It's so cool.
And it's so direct, so badass. And then, like, some dude tries to step up. He's like, oh, let me guess your favorite thing. Didn't you love all those black people who used to go to your mom's house and bang her?
But, like, he's also a badass fighter, so he's just, like, slamming people's heads on tables. And, like,
but it's so corny. Like, at the same time, it's so corny and, like, laughable and so cool.
For Black History Month, give me more.
Amazing.
Honestly, that was the meme this past week, too. That was, like, last week. It's the first week of Black History Month, and they're dressing up the white dragon in full uniform.
In Black History Month?
Exactly.
What's really shitty is that his costume is, like, it does a lot of badass shit.
Well, because all of Peacemaker's, like, equipment comes from his dad.
Which is, he's like a quantum physicist engineer.
Exactly. So... And, like, all his Goonies dress up in, like, white cowls, and, like, they look like KKK members, right?
Like meth bikers.
Yes, exactly. And John Cena has, like, this trauma, or Peacemaker has this trauma about killing his brother, when really his dad made him do it. Because they used to have bare-knuckled boxing, like, out in the fucking trailer yard.
And just hating on minorities.
But this entire time, I feel like we had been fooled into thinking that Peacemaker really did murder his own brother.
Well, he did. He did, but the dad was like, hey, both my sons got to go into the pit and bare-knuckle box each other.
But what are you going to do when you're 10 years old? Like, your dad tells you to box your brother. You're going to box your brother. He's encouraging you.
And hate minorities. Well, he's super homophobic, too. He's just like, yeah, go beat him up. Like, he's like an F word. Like, what? You can't beat up your brother, you fucking queer? Like,
and even, like, the pretense around everybody around Peacemaker is like, oh, he's the one racist guy. He's the one racist guy that...
Even in episode 1, the ongoing joke was like, don't you beat up, like... 90% white people? No, 90% minorities? Mm-hmm. And he's just like, no, I beat up equal part white people and minorities. Yeah, that was my dad. And they're just like, I don't know. I'm looking at the people you arrest. It looks like mostly like minorities.
But then he also bonds the best with the girl that was from Orange is the New Black, the curly-headed girl.
Ileota?
I'm not sure her.
What's her character name in the show?
Ileota?
She was Walker's daughter.
Yeah.
Something Warner or something like that. Because they have different last names. They have different last names.
She's the daughter of the head of the Suicide Squad.
Right. Yes. Right. So
Waller.
Amanda Waller's the girl from the leader of the Suicide Squad.
And her daughter Ileota Waller is something like that. I think this is what it is.
Leota,
right? Yeah.
Adebayo.
Aldo's
just in love with the Waller thing.
Well, it's memorable.
So you're right. So and then like the main villains are these bugs, these butterflies that are aliens that are taking over like the brains and the bodies of like influential like political figures. So you don't know who's the actual human and like who's like the butterflies taking them over.
The butterfly, when it enters the body, murders the human
By like
corpse,
taking
I
over their
guess?
brain,
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
so
they retain the memories that the human had.
correct. As soon as they get possessed by the bug, they kill the person, but they drive the human consciousness of them.
Mhm.
But if they were to get out, it's just like that space in the brain.
Exactly. So the leader of this special task group that was meant to kill the butterflies ended up being a butterfly this whole time. But he was like a de facto like traitor of the butterflies who had taken over the body
He's
of
woke.
this. Yeah, the woke butterfly. He took over the body of this hyper murderer to like create the team to defeat the butterflies because he found it morally wrong what his species was doing.
Crazy stuff.
Crazy plot.
I mean, because if you were to ask me, like, 2 episodes before when Adebayo finds out that he is a bug, it's like, oh, fuck, like, there's repercussions, there's risk. Our characters are at risk here. But he's like, no, I'm deflecting.
He's like so loyally against
Yeah.
the butterflies.
Which is good to see. Is like, I don't know. It seems very... Because, like, in that setting that the butterflies are taking over Earth, it seems like it's going on. And it's been going on.
It's cool because they're able to maintain the same motive, disregarding the fact that he was a butterfly.
And so basically the lead up to the final episode is that they have to kill the cow. They have to kill the alien that they...
Quote unquote, we're milking.
that they were milking for the nectar that the butterflies were using for sustenance. And that's where we're at. But they have to kill the cow within... before they can move it, because they have teleportation technology that can move it to like
And the cow
across
is
the globe.
ugly.
Yeah.
They made
But
it look
but
gross.
the animation style reminds me of the starfish thing from the most recent
Yes.
Suicide Squad. Just super ugly, kind of like real world
Ginormous.
looking CGI stuff.
And if you want to talk like genres, like the movie was like a kaiju kind of like aspect to the direction of the movie. And like here, it's almost kaiju, but maybe not really, because it's also like insectoid kind of like invasion.
Yeah,
thing.
I got you.
It's really fun. It's really fun to see.
But the coolest part of the most recent episode was the hand-to-hand combat with the blonde chick. We fucked up her name like 2 weeks ago. With
The wife.
Hardcore.
Hardcore.
Hardcore has like a hand-to-hand combat
What do
scene.
we call her?
We just couldn't remember her name. We just kept saying that blonde bitch.
James
She's
Gunn's
really
wife.
cool.
Yeah,
too.
we just kept saying James Gunn's wife. Yeah. For like the whole
She's
episode.
so cool though.
She's
That's
fucking
the
cool.
baddest bitch in the
But like the best
entire-
scene, she has a hand-to-hand combat scene with like what's his name, the jujitsu master, the kung fu master, the
little leprechaun guy?
yeah,
Judo-
the fight,
Judo man
the
or-
judo
Yeah.
master,
Or whatever, yeah.
the judo man, the 5 foot tall little like
He's
judo
so
master.
cute.
He's so off-puttingly short.
His Cheetos.
Yeah.
Were they purposely trying to advertise hot Cheetos?
Bro, I don't
didn't
know.
understand.
But my girlfriend wanted Cheetos today, and they don't fucking sell Cheetos because apparently
You
there's
know
a
where?
shortage.
The Mexican place that we went to the other day. Remember it was like
Flores Meat Market.
Flores Meat Market.
What is me right
Yeah,
now?
hella
Okay.
hot Cheetos.
Cool. Lime?
I didn't pay that much attention.
And across
but-
the street from Flores Meat Market on Zaragoza Drive is TCG Battleground.
Ooh, and please make sure to follow us on Between Nerds on all social media, and also at betweennerdspodcast@gmail.com for any concerns, comments, or...
We'll give you a better nerd down next week. I swear. I'm still hungover from Super Bowl Sunday. It's Monday, 10 p.m. I'm sorry. This is my fault.
It's Valentine's Day.
It's Valentine's Day.
It's Valentine's Day. I'll be home soon, baby. I'll be there. But would you call it a good show, Peacemaker?
Peacemaker's good. I think Miss
Peacemaker's
Kobayashi's Dragon Maid's good. I think Boba Fett's pretty good.
We'll talk about that next week, though.
Next week.
Yes.
I think that's about it for now. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please reach out to us at Between Nerds on every social media platform, or email us at betweennerdspodcast@gmail.com. Please use hashtag Nerds for Black Leadership so that we can donate to El Paso Young Black Leaders. And
we'll bring you some video next time.
Yeah, hopefully. If Aldo can get it together. This has been Between
Nerds.